Coming here once again. I see Excalibur just came in the building talking about Bernard CP Time Riley. I'm working on it, but it will never be fully worked out. It will always be an ongoing problem. But this is going to be a. I'm just going to roll the intro, and then we're going to go and get into this one. We're going to go and get into this one. Everybody is well aware of all the celebrating that's been going on. Everybody's well aware of all the celebrating that's been going on by women, Black women, over the unfortunate passing of Kevin Samuels. And true to form, I won't even say true to form because I didn't expect this, but Derrick Jaxn crawled about the woodwork and made a video where he more or less co-signed. I'm not even going to say more or less. He co-signed it. He backed it up. He gave it credibility. He defended it. He defended the people that are celebrating, the women that are celebrating Kevin Samuels' death. That happened. And we're about to get into that. So let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What is up? What is up? What is going on? Good people, we are gathered here today. First things first, I always forget holidays other than, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, the ones you can't miss. For some reason, all the other holidays, I do tend to wake up and get halfway through the day. Not halfway through the day, but through the earlier part of the day. I'm like, oh, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's Memorial Day, it's this day, it's that day. I tend to forget. So I got to make sure I contact my mother after the show. I'll freely and unfortunately admit every now and then I could be a deadbeat son sometimes. When you become an adult, that does become a thing. You can become a deadbeat son when you're not regularly checking on your mother. That can become a thing. So yeah, I just got to make sure right when I get off the air that I give my mother a call. Gotta make sure I give my mother a call. But shout out to everybody in the building. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers out there, you know. But moving on. All right. Yep. So yeah, y'all see the title, y'all see the thumbnail, y'all see what it is, y'all know what it is. We about to go ahead and get into it. Shout out to everybody in the building. Early bird squad, as I call it. Jackie Jack in here bright and early said, is this a new low for Derrick Jaxn? I think so. I think it absolutely is. I think it absolutely is a new low. So I definitely to Jackie's question, it's definitely a new low. Because I didn't expect it. But as I think uneducated lame, I think that was him that said before, simps stay on code. Simps, they don't break character until the DVD commentary come out. Like they don't. They stay on code. But Excalibur in the building, shout out to you. Says, salute brother Bernard, brother Bernard, CP time, Riley. Absolutely. JC the Conqueror in the building says Derrick Jaxn trying to get his numbers. I think you mean his numbers back. The funny thing is, for some reason he fell off on YouTube. I think he's still thriving on Facebook and other places. I have my theories as to why. I think the reason he fell off hard on YouTube is because I think because the Black Manosphere has such a strong hold on YouTube. Kevin Samuels had such a strong hold on YouTube. The areas where Kevin Samuels didn't have as much of a stronghold or any stronghold at all, like say Facebook, I think Derrick Jaxn was still thriving over there. The areas where the Black Manosphere was heavy, Derrick Jaxn fell off. That's why he fell off on YouTube. Like I said it once before, like my numbers don't rival Derrick Jaxn's right now, but on my best week, on my absolute best week, my numbers do rival his. So he fell off big time. He fell off big nine. Dark Knight mentality in the building. Azrael the Daywalker, shout out to you. The Clue channel in the building. Hank Jones, X Blaze in the building. Dark Knight in here in the building says, he says, I mean, does that surprise anyone that Jaxn is defending the same broads he's been pandering to since he's been on YouTube? I thought it would be levels. I thought certain levels of simpery and pandering, I thought it was a glass ceiling on it. Okay. This is just showing that there is no glass ceiling on the simping. When it comes to the simping, the hardcore simping, it's no glass ceiling on it. They've shattered. I remember when Hillary Clinton was running for president, when she was real close, she was giving one of her last speeches before the results start coming in, and she was like, and we're going to we're going to put 1 million cracks, or no, not cracks, because she said that after she lost. She said, we're going to punch through the final glass ceiling. After she lost, she was like, I don't know what 70 million people voted for her. She's like, we put 70 million cracks in that final glass ceiling. But right now at this point, I realize that with simps, there is no glass ceiling. I thought it was one. I thought there was a level of simpery. Like we were finding out right now, Derrick Jaxn will simp and pander, will boldly pander where no man has pandered before. Like he is bad. Everything on social media has been bad. And I haven't been keeping my ear to everything. Like even when I got off the air yesterday, I did a little research and I kind of see why people were saying that it was stuff that we were avoiding talking about. It was actually some stuff I honestly didn't know. Like some stuff I stay out of. So a lot of the crazy that's been going on with people celebrating, I've been seeing the titles and the thumbnails, and then for research purposes, I said, okay, I'm about to click on some of this stuff. I'm about to see how bad some of this stuff is, and it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. I did a little research, saw some of the Twitter stuff. It's bad. As bad as it gets. It's seriously as bad as it gets. And to justify that, to want to even be halfway comfortable standing by that is just ridiculous. But shout out to Uneducated Lame. Shout out to Uneducated Lame in the building. dropping something on the collection plate on this fine Sunday morning. Shout out to OG Speed. OG be sending me some OG been sending me some weird cash apps at odd hours with odd statements in the cash apps. I gotta ask you about that last one you sent. Don't talk about it on the air. I ain't that ain't what we're here to do. But I probably send you. I shouldn't text you because I don't want you to make a habit of texting me. But unfortunately, got OG number. But all right, y'all, we about to get into it. Well, let me shout out a few more people. A few more people came through on the super chat end. Don't want to forget anybody. Black Wolf in the building. He says, along with the Godfather, Captain, I had trouble sleeping since KS passed. Yeah, man. He says, I had to play gospel music just to calm my nerves. This one really hurts, fam. Yeah, it do, man. It do. It's hitting, like I explained yesterday, and I don't even know if I explained it well, but it's hitting in a weird way for me. It's like, yeah. It's not like a personal loss, but it's like I can't explain it. It's just like it's hitting in a weird way. But I expected one day. Let me read it right here. He says, I expected that one day. Now he feels he has a new leash on life and can come right back to pandering to Big Shirley. He mentioned Big Shirley in his video I'm about to play. Let him have them. SYSBM. Shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. I could have swore I saw another super chat. I could have swore I saw somebody else. Hold on. I saw Uneducated Lame. I saw Black Wolf. I saw Ernest B. Okay. Hey, man. Cut it out. Cut it out. But we about to dive into it. Not there. Yeah. Where we at though? All right. Let's go ahead and get ready to get on in this. Let's go. Dark Knight Mentality says, yeah, I feel you, Bernard. It's not like I knew the man personally and I hadn't been watching late. I think it means as of late. I've been watching late that as of late, okay? But it does hit a certain way. I can't define. That's how I feel. I tried to define it. I tried to define it yesterday and I botched it. So I'm going to give up on trying to even make sense of what I'm feeling. It's just hitting in a weird way. It's almost like just the impact of him being gone is going to be felt. That's more so what it is. Just that overall impact. All right. I gotta just get on with the show. Cause he said Bernard looking like Cisco from Drew Hill this morning. I don't accept that. I don't accept that one bit. Shame on you for throwing that out there. Saying my big black ass look like that that prancing around dyed blonde hair, 5'1", 87.5 pound ballerina looking like, come on. Captain Cisco in the building says Manofair needs to take witchcraft more seriously. The supernatural is real. All right, yeah, we about to get in. We about to just get into it. All right. Without further ado, let me go. All right, we did enough of a ramble. Gave enough people a couple minutes to get up in here. But all right, yeah, let's get ready to go. Let's get it,
y'all. So, as you guys can see by the title, I want to discuss something: the recent passing of Kevin Samuels, controversial relationship, YouTuber, counselor, amongst other things. But he passed away a couple of days ago from, I think it was cardiac arrest or something like that. Besides the point, I got hit up to ask my thoughts about this. One, because of who I am in the relationship space, and we tend to stand on opposite sides of the spectrum and have not been.
Okay, I don't think he needs to start with the, and I'm going to nitpick a little bit. Don't start with the, I got hit up to speak on this. I said it once, I said it again. When Kevin Samuels passed away, Derrick Jaxn immediately start coming around the corner, making that rubbing his hands together, Spice Adams face. Like you already know. You already know what the deal is. This is phase one of that. Okay. This is phase one. So don't make it seem like you reluctantly talking about it. Somebody who's reluctantly talking about a death is not going to take up for the people who are celebrating the death. So you ain't reluctantly doing this. Let's just make that very clear. This is all strategic. This is all a part of your game plan. You thought about it, you plot, plan, strategize, and coming out with a full campaign strategy right now. The main chief, most prominent person when it came to calling out the nonsense of women, holding them accountable, the whole works, that person is gone. So now that market that's been damaged, the pander market, he's like, that's about to make a comeback. That's what he's on right now. So, like, make no mistake, don't make it seem like, well, somebody asked me to talk about it, so I'm just going to reluctantly go on and just give my take. No. This is him full blown on some, I'm here to pander. I'm here to I'm here to reclaim market share. Let me just go ahead and just talk business on it. I'm here to reclaim market share. That's what this is. We ain't about to play around with that. This is a business campaign marketing strategy here. There's no other way around that. No other way around that. He said Derrick Jaxn will have a book next week. Yeah. He
been shy about that at all. But I wanted to speak on this for two reasons. First off, I do want to speak on that, how I personally feel about the passing of him as a controversial relationship orator or, YouTuber or what have you. And then also the other part where I see a lot of women, Black women especially, who have been celebrating that he's died. Yes.
Hold on. I could be wrong, but he said Black women especially. I would venture to say Black women only. I'm welcome to be proven wrong on that. All right. I am welcome to be proven wrong. If you can prove me wrong, then I'll concede the point. No big deal. Move on. We can just go with especially. We could go with mostly. We can go with the majority. But I haven't seen anybody else celebrating. I've seen some people of other races that were indifferent. I've seen some people of other races describe him in a way where, they didn't just say like controversial YouTuber. I think they put a subtle jab, like I don't know if they put misogynistic in the description of what he did for a living. But I saw that from other people or other races of women, but celebration, like high-fiving, cartwheel, throwing black girl magic parades and shit. No, that I'm pretty sure that's exclusive. I've seen other people, I've seen some jabs, some subtle jabs. Black Wolf, you ain't for real, man. You can't be for real. All right. I know the gentleman you mentioned right there has been critical of Kevin Samuels, but I don't think I don't believe he would go there. He has a history of being critical of anybody. Send me the evidence. The gentleman you mentioned he's a very critical guy. He criticizes everybody, and I'm not going to use the word hate. I'm just going to say he criticizes everybody, but I don't think he would go there. I do think he's a better man than that, but if you have evidence of that, just send it to me. Dallas in the building. Dallas Cowboys fan in the building. Shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. Definitely appreciate the support. Captain Cisco already read that one. Shout out to you. All right, yeah, come on. Nah, man, come on, cut it out. I know y'all don't like him. I know y'all don't like Steve the Dean. I don't believe he joined in on the celebration. I don't believe that. So you want to call him a hater? You want to say he got criticism of everybody? Okay, great. If you're saying that, all right, we done talking about that part. We moving on from that part. Just send it to me. Because I do want to see that. I do want to see that if it happened. But all right, not that I'm not going to do content on it. I just want to know. But all right, moving on. Well, yeah, I ain't even going there. It's certain. I'm not even going.
For those who don't know, he's so controversial that you have people who have a lot of mixed reactions to him passing. Sometimes you have people especially who have been celebrating that he's died. Yes, for those who don't know, he's so controversial that you have people who have a lot of mixed reactions to him passing. Sometimes you have people grieving, this type of thing. But right now you have a lot of folks who are celebrating. They're at least mocking or maybe even just apathetic to the fact that he has passed on. And I've seen people like his fans and stuff talk about that group.
And real quick, apathy is okay. It's some people online. I'm not even trying to drop names, but the easy name to go to is like, hey, how would black men react if Cynthia G died? I do believe it would be some that would do a soft shoe celebration. It's some that would do that. You see him in the chat. No, I can't see a content creator. Doing it, but it's enough idiots in chat rooms where I would see a celebration. I'm saying this now. The correct position to take when somebody who you didn't like or care for dies, the correct position to take is apathy. It's to just be neutral to it. I didn't like this person. I don't got nothing. This person is now dead. I have nothing bad to say about him. I got nothing good to say about him, but I ain't about to. Apathy. That is the correct thing to do. Like any reasonable, responsible, rational person understands that is the correct way to go about it. Apathy.
Have a lot of folks who are celebrating, and sometimes you have people grieving, this type of thing. But right now you have a lot of folks who are celebrating. They're at least mocking or maybe even just apathetic to the fact that he has passed on. And I've seen people like his fans and stuff talk about that group as being, really messed up. Like how twisted you got to be, how effed up of a human being do you have to be laughing or happy and celebrating that this man has died. And my personal belief on that, even if I don't stand where they stand, is that it's not so much a measurement of their character, even those that are laughing at him being gone. It's not a measurement of their character that they're reacting in that way, as much as it's a reflection of the impact that his content has had on them. Because yes,
backing up, the first thing he said is that a lot of his fans are reacting to the people who are laughing about it. One, you don't have to be a fan of Kevin Samuels to just have a reaction to people celebrating his death. Secondly, he's saying it's not a reflection of their moral character. The thing is, it absolutely is. It's no way around that. He's trying to spin it as if Kevin Samuels' words were so bad to them. Kevin Samuels' words are so bad to them that their response to it, their laughter, their excitement, their enjoyment, and this man dying is that's just their reaction to it. Let's hear this chunk again. Let's hear this again.
And gone. It's not a measurement of their character that they're reacting in that way, as much as it's a reflection of the impact that his content has had on them. Because
a reflection of the impact that their content has had on them. It is nothing a content creator can say that will make me celebrate the death. It is just like, again, this is pandering at a all-time high. He's shattered the glass ceiling of pandering. He's shattered the glass ceiling of pandering. It can't get no higher. You're right, JC the Conqueror. I am getting a headache listening to it because you can't put it in words. You can't put this in words. All right. The pandering, it has no glass ceiling at this point. It has no glass ceiling at this point. We said it before, we said it again. The simps stay on code. The manosphere is never on code. The manosphere gonna fight with each other. They're gonna go back and forth with each other. It's gonna be arguing. It's gonna be beef. It's gonna be division. It's gonna be all kind of stuff. Like, but no. When shit hit the fan, simps stay on code. The pander bears, all the dudes who be pandering to all the craziness that's out there, they stay on code. They're going to defend it. They're going to defend the queen at all costs. They're going to defend it at absolute 100% all costs. And that's what he's doing. That's what he's on. Now, I talked about the business marketing campaign strategy. All right. That's what's going on there. He coming around the corner like Spice Adams. He see a market share. He trying to take that market share. But if anything, you would think he would be like, maybe I could take that market share by trying to foster more of a real conversation and not just the one-way pander conversation, not the pandersation. Okay, I hope that don't stick. That didn't sound right. That's me being corny. Maybe that might work. But anyway, he's that says it all right there, though, don't it? He's still fine, though. That's I guess under my eye. That does say it all right there. That's exactly where they at with it. The man could justify people celebrating the death, but he's still fine, though. That says it all. That says it all. But he's out here on some business marketing stuff right here. Like that's why I specifically titled it, Derrick Jaxn is using Kevin Samuels' death to pander to black women. He's using Kevin Samuels' death to try to reclaim the market share that he lost when a lot of people, and I presume with the women in his audience, realized that Derrick Jaxn was just selling them pixie dust. They found somebody who was selling them something. I wouldn't even say selling them something, was telling them something that was real, that was legit, that made sense. They stopped sniffing the pixie dust. They went over there. They had real conversation. That person has passed away. He's like, come back on over here for this pixie dust. That's what's happening here. He's using Kevin Samuels' death to pander to black women to try to reclaim the market share. That's what's about to be happening here.
Yes, Kevin Samuels is not all bad or all good. Nobody is. So there are people who have had very positive experiences. He's been encouraging, validating to a certain group, but there's another group who have experienced his content the exact opposite in a really messed up way. Dare I say verbally abusively? Some people say, oh, that's a reach. He was just holding women accountable. How do you hold a woman accountable for being 35 years old and single and saying that they're leftovers? In which that was his most recent viral clip. Let's be real.
All right. One, you can't narrow it down to that. You can't narrow it down to that. But if we did narrow it down to that, it is a legitimately real thing. And some data just legitimately came out on that. That, yes, women single, I would say, I wouldn't put it as low as 35, but it's actual factual data that shows that women within a certain age demographic, if they get older and they have a certain amount of success, and if they want a man on that certain amount of success level, yes, they are left over. They are priced out of the market. All the data shows that men within that same age group with that same money is not looking for women between the age of 41 to 55. It's a lot of women between the age of 41, 55. Women outnumber, black women outnumber men when they get into that and start getting older like that. They start outnumbering men. All right. Chances of them getting married is very, very slim. And if they make a lot of money, chances of them getting married to the type of man that they want to is even slimmer. That married man, that man in early, mid, or late 40s, still producing semen, making more money than what he ever, still, sperm. Yeah, I get it. I get it. He can still have a baby. He can still start a family, have a baby if you want to. Y'all get what I'm saying? We get that. That's biology. We understand that. And in a real way, yes, those women are left over. I didn't even watch Kevin Samuels stream, but I watched enough Kevin Samuels where I know where he was going with it. And the data just came out that broke down that, yeah, a lot of Gen X women, 41 to 55, of a certain age group that make a certain amount of money, yeah, they are left over. Chances of them getting married to the type of man that they want to is extremely slim. Those are leftover women. And even when you get to the ones that don't make a lot of money for what they ideally want, some of those are left over. Like it's a real thing. It's a real thing. So that's just speaking to the reality. So when you making this statement, how could you hold somebody accountable for being single in 35? Like, no, he broke it down and made it make sense. But that's the demographic that you want to pander to, because I remember Kevin Samuels, the first stream that he did on Derrick Jaxn, all right? The first stream that he did on Derrick Jaxn that I know of, that I remember, it was when Derrick Jaxn made that statement, the women over 40 dating market is the most lit. And keep in mind, he used the term like most lit because that doesn't mean anything. You don't have to define it. You don't have to describe what you're saying. You just throw it out there. They're the most lit. Hey, dating market over 40, they the most lit. That's what he said. That's what he threw out there. He just floated that out there. All right. Just floated that out there. Didn't really describe or define what he meant. He just said they lit. They got it going on. They popping. Kevin Samuels, this was before Kevin Samuels even blew up. He did a response to that. Broke down thoroughly, very specifically, very analytically what was wrong with that. Like, so Derrick Jaxn understands the argument. He understands the argument completely through and through, but that's just pretending to not understand it so he can pander. That's pretending to not understand it so he can pander.
Real, let's not idolize that was his most recent viral clip. Let's be real, let's not idolize the dead and just make them angels all of a sudden. Like, let's stop the gaslighting, okay?
This is the most gaslighting person on earth, damn near. And he's saying, stop the gaslighting. Let's not idolize the dead and make them out to be angels. Nobody is saying make them out to be angels. Okay? Nobody has said that. Nobody has made that argument. People are criticizing them celebrating. People are criticizing them laughing. People are criticizing them saying "ding dong, the witch is dead" or blah blah blah. It's I looked up some of it. It's all over the place. It is bad. It's bad as it get. I ain't even gonna repeat none of that. People are literally celebrating and happy that this man died. People are literally doing that and having fun with it, throwing live stream parties about it. Okay, it's so this isn't about trying to deify somebody or make them out to be an angel. Everybody generally understands that. Okay, he's a human being. He's a man. He's flawed. Okay, cool. We got it. We got it. But that's not what you're countering. You're not here to counter the idea, the notion that people are trying to make him out to be an angel. What you're here doing is trying to justify the people who are celebrating. So whether he's an angel or not an angel, someone could be apathetic to whether he's a saint or a sinner, no pun intended. But somebody could be apathetic to that. You're pandering to the people who are celebrating. Don't try to do that. It's like when he talks, it's so much manipulation. All right. It's so much manipulation in everything he say.
So for the women that fit into any of those groups, whether it was 35 and single and you called leftovers, or you're overweight, so you call Big Shirley, or you average.
Pandering to Big Shirley. Pandering to Big Shirley. I remember one time a woman asked him a question. She was like, "Hey, I'm big." She had said she was overweight and she's not. She said something like she's not. I would most men ideally find attractive, and he had went into a whole spiel about how no, you're like a delicacy. Like everybody can't order you. You're like a special order. So like you see other people. You go to a restaurant, you see other food. You see the same plate of food getting carried out to everybody, but you're a specific order that only a certain specific special type of person. Like you're a delicacy. You're a rare treat that everybody can't even order it. It's like that's the type of pandering that he do. Kevin Samuels brought the reality, brought the reality to that nonsense. But here he is, he pandering to the bigums, to the big girls, the big Shirleys.
And you called leftovers, or you're overweight, so you call Big Shirley, or you average looking at best, or you're a single mother and you experienced his content in a really harmful, negative, demoralizing way, that group's experience with his content is just as valid as those of you who have gotten it, a lot from.
It's valid for them to not like it. It's valid for them to feel some type of way. Yeah. It's not valid for them to celebrate his death. Like, let's think about the people that he's aligning himself with. All right, let's take a break and look at that. Okay. The people that I saw celebrating his death are people who are in line with the channel that I told y'all about. I don't say the name of it, but the woman literally in her avatar picture is a tree. It's a branch going one way, and it's a black man being hung from a tree. Black man hanging from a tree. On the other branch, it's a woman on a swing. A black woman on a swing, just swinging, having a great time. Those are the type of people that are celebrating his death. All right. Those are the people that Derrick Jaxn is pandering to. He's pandering to divested swirlers who essentially hate him too. Like he's going to pander. He's pandering to them. Like, let's not lose sight of that one. That's what he's pandering to. Yes, he did really say that statement that I made. He really did say that. I used to have some of his clips on deck, but I don't got them no more. So, and I'm not going through his archives to dig none of that stuff up. But yeah, he really did say that. But let's not lose sight of who he's pandering to. He's pandering to the so-called divested chicks. I mean, you could just listen to them talk and tell that they. But anyway, I ain't about to get into that. This ain't about them. But that's who he's pandering to. He's pandering to the bottom of the bottom, like that.
From his content, and you love his conversations and stuff like that. So I have an issue with invalidating them as this being another messed up, twisted group of people that can't handle the truth or whatever else. And I also have a problem with charging black women with the responsibility to continuously take the moral high road and be the bigger person. Like they're always held to that responsibility. Black women march for us as black men whenever we die at the hands of police brutality, but vice versa.
They're always charged with taking the high road. And he considered taking the high road to be marching for black men when it comes to police brutality. How is that taking a high road? Like let's really analyze what that means. If he thinks that's them taking a high road because they march for black men who die from police brutality. He connected that to somebody taking a high road when somebody has done something wrong to them. That's what it means to take the high road. When somebody has done something wrong, but you still maintain character or frame or poise and you don't attack the person back. Okay? So in that sense, if a black man dies from police brutality, he's either saying that that particular black man has done something wrong to that particular black man has done something wrong to them, and they're taking a high road or by marching to him, or he's saying black men as just a collective group are just doing so much wrong to black women for them to do anything in service of black men, even though I'm really iffy on all the whole marching and all of that. Don't get me started on that. But don't get me started on Black Lives Matter. Don't get me started on none of that. But if you follow that argument to its illogical conclusion, what he's essentially saying is that black men are just in general bad. So even so, black women doing anything like marching, that's them taking the high road against a group that's just been treacherous to them. Like that's the cold talk. That's the pander talk. That only somebody with a I hate black men mindset think like that, because that's really where they came up with the concept of the mammies who are the burn the cape. They out there caping. They out there caping for these monsters who do so much wrong things to them. That's what he's playing on. Like that was, some people don't catch that, but that was a dog whistle out of this world that he just put out there. He just put out a hellified dog whistle. He's basically saying they're so bad, they're such monsters. If something bad happened to them, they don't deserve any women, particularly black women, to do anything positive or feel anything on their behalf. That's what he's saying. That's literally what he's saying. But by black women doing that for black men who are monsters who treat them horribly, that's them taking the humble high road in a situation. Like, no. Shout out to everybody in the building. Sorry if I missed some super chats. I didn't have the screen up. Doberman in the building. He says, built like a Greek god, the mind of a young boy, though. Okay, I would have left that built like a Greek god comment out of there. He said, Pandering Jaxn. That's funny. Shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate each and everybody. Make sure you hit the like button if you're new here. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. Double check and see if I missed any super chats. I don't think I did. I will pull out my cell phone in a second, see if anybody hit the Cash App in. It's 40 years of black women going on talk shows, talk about black men. If anybody took a high road, it was black men. I would agree. I would agree.
Person, when a black woman is killed, they get silenced at best. Sometimes they even get, what did she do to deserve that? And
nobody cares when black women die. That's what he's putting out there, as if I forgot who was the chick. I forgot the name, and I forget the name of all of them. So forgive me on that. What was the girl? It was the girl that died. I know she got a lot of press. Yeah, I know who I'm talking about. The chick who got shot, she they said she got killed in her sleep, but she wasn't asleep. I can't think of her name. Help me out, chat room. I'm counting on Breonna Taylor. There it is. I was about to say Brittany, but Breonna Taylor. Dr. Tiasan Johnson did a lot of good work on this. Where a lot of times when they talk about police shootings, and y'all know that ain't my thing that I even talk about no more, but when they talk about police shootings, he point out that it could be 236 black men shot by the police. excuse me. And he said that throughout the year, it could be roughly 10, sometimes less than 10 black women got shot by the police. So he's pointing out that this is by and large a black male problem, a black male issue. But when everybody talk about it, or the media talks about it, or they put up a mural of something of 6 or 7 people that got shot, they'll have the 2 women. They'll have, like somebody pointed out, Sandra Bland. They'll have Breonna Taylor in the mural, in like 4 or 5 black men. And so he's pointing out that to some degree, like this black male issue, this problem, you know, even though I broke down the numbers, I don't think I'm not even about to get in there. I'm not even about to get into that. This ain't the day for that. But he would talk about how they actually attempt to equalize something that by and large happens to black men. You know, a lot of the brutalities over the years through racism go all the way back to slavery, Jim Crow, lynchings, all of that stuff. It was majority, vast majority black men. He talks about that and he breaks that down. I don't get all into that. Y'all know that ain't my thing. But when he get into that, is a lot of it, yeah, it was specifically black men. Now, black women weren't just completely free. You know, they didn't just make it out all that unscathed in any way, shape, or form. But he will break down the numbers. But when a lot of times people talk about it, they talk about it as an overall black issue. Sometimes they would try to equalize it, and then, you know, in the specificity that it is, you know, to black men, that gets kind of lost in the sauce a little bit. Dr. T.S. Johnson does a good job talking about that. I don't like to go all the way down that route. I don't play that. You know, I won't say I don't play that, but that ain't really my thing. I respect the work that he's doing. But yeah. So to make it seem like you know, a female victim, especially a victim of, you know, racism, isn't acknowledged, like that's just a flat out lie. That's a flat out lie.
When it comes to being a parent, a lot of black women are left to raise a child by themselves and blamed for choosing the man that left them to raise that child.
Whoa, hold on, let's back up.
What did she do to deserve that? You know, and when it comes to being a parent, a lot of black women are left to raise a child by themselves and blamed for choosing the man that left them to raise that child by themselves.
Okay. This is where I'm at, and y'all going to hear this again. And this ain't the last time y'all going to hear this from me. I'm going to make sure that this turns into a reoccurring thing. Whenever somebody says that a man left a woman to raise kids by herself, the $1 million question that I want to know, did he leave her with the kids, or did she leave him and take the kids with her? She got left with kids, or was she the one that left and took the kids? Which one? I'm about to push back against this thing where he left me to raise 2 kids by myself. No. You left him and you took the kids with you. That's what I'm going to be saying every single time I hear that argument, that I left the kid, that he left me to raise kids by myself. I want everybody in the sphere to ask that question. Did he leave you with 2 kids, or did you leave him did you leave with the kids? Which one? The reason we can talk like that, and the language is all messed up. The whole concept, you know, there are no fathers in the home, as if as if they get Thanos snapped when the relationship ends. As if he don't have a address somewhere that he pay bills at. There are no fathers in the home. He is in the home. No, there are no women and children in the home. It's like we talk about it like wherever the mom lay her hat is the home. That's how we talk about it. Like, no, this man has an address. All right. You have an address. Did you try to bring, I can guarantee in most cases it's the woman that wants that relationship ended. Guarantee in most situations. We got a lot of data on that. Man, cut it out. I ain't say wherever she lay her hair hat is the home. Mama was a roast. Yeah, I ain't buying it. Yeah, I ain't buying it on that. He left her with 2 kids. Like, I mean, listen, y'all know I try to avoid talking about my personal stuff, you know, before my stuff got in the court. Like when I left, okay, kids, they did technically come with me. Like I said, I was working 3rd shift, like 7 days a week, and the kids was with me during the day. The whole 16 hours of the day I wasn't at work, they were with me. I dropped them off to her at night to basically like she babysat them for me at night. Went to court. She pulled a judo on me. That's another story. I ain't talking about that today. But I can say, yeah, I can say I left and took the kids with me. I can say that. Now, let's just say if she didn't fight it in court, okay? Well, not if she didn't fight it in court. If we didn't go through a divorce and she pulled a judo on me, and I had to take 3 years. It took me 3 years to do the Uno reverse and get the custody situation straightened out. But let's just say hypothetically, when the kids came with me when I left, and let's just say that she just let it ride, okay? After 2-3 years of struggling to raise the kids by myself, I couldn't then turn around and say, he left me with 2 kids. I mean, she left me with 2 kids. I couldn't turn around and do that. All right? I chose to leave. I had to get out of there. I ain't even going to get into why. I had to get out of there. Okay? The ideal situation for me, get out of there, have the kids with me. Let me raise them. Okay? In the event that I had buyer's remorse for that situation, I don't get to say she left me. I think that is a lot of times what is happening. A lot of times that is what's happening. There's a lot of data to support what I'm saying. There's a lot of data to support what I'm saying. Just the simple fact that when they filed for divorce the majority of the time, they break up and end the majority of these relationships. They do. They break up and end the majority of the relationships. They take the kids with them and they say he left me with 2 kids. But then he came back to try to fight for those 2 kids. You will fight against him to not let him get those kids while still saying he left you with kids and he a deadbeat for not being there. Like that is a reoccurring thing that happens. So this whole concept of he left me with kids. He left me to raise kids by myself. No, you left him to raise kids by yourself. He didn't leave you with kids. You left with kids. Like that's where I'm at with it.
So not only do they have to pick up the slack and make it make sense to this child and take on the responsibility when they didn't make that child by themselves, but they're blamed for it. And then, you got a lot of Black women who have to heal themselves from the traumas that we as men impose on them. And then now we're telling them that, hey, when a person that represented trauma and degradation to you and humiliation to you and mockery to you and projecting a lot of unworthiness onto you, when that
and this is just next level. He just went back and just made all women a victim and just made Kevin Samuels the poster child of their victimhood. So all the victimhood, all the trauma, everything that they all went through is justified to now celebrate the death of a man who, according to him, represented all the victimhood that they went through. Because he represented that with his words and criticism and asking them what their height, weight, and dress size and telling them that they're not going to be able to get a man making a certain amount of money with a certain amount of social class and status if you are 250 pounds with 2 or 3 kids by 2 or 3 men and is facially below average and got a bad attitude. That's the voice of degradation and all the victimhood that they all went through. Thus, now they're justified celebrating his death. Like, that's the argument that he's making.
That person can no longer do that, bite your tongue, or else you're a bad person. I think it's unfair. Hey, when a person that represented trauma, when they didn't make that child by themselves, but they're blamed for it. And then, you got a lot of Black women who have to heal themselves from the traumas that we as men impose on them. And then now we're telling them that, hey, when a person that represented trauma and degradation to you and humiliation to you and mockery to you and projecting a lot of unworthiness onto you, when that person can no longer do that, bite your tongue, or else you're a bad person, I think it's unfair and invalidating. But that's just...
Bite your tongue or you're a bad person. He's saying that person who represented that can no longer do that to you. Even if we accept the premise that that's what Kevin Samuels was doing to women, they have to choose to click on it. Now, I don't accept the premise that that's what he was doing to women, but they have to choose to click on it. So it's not like your an 8-year-old girl and there's some abusive, touchy stepdaddy or uncle that lives in the house or something. Like, no, that's a situation the girl can't run from or hide from. Okay, we're talking about somebody online on a social media platform that they only could see it if they click on it. I did see a woman in the comment section say that Kevin Samuels' messages used to really bother me. It used to stress me out. It used to make me feel a certain way, and I hated it. I really hated hearing him, so I stopped listening. I haven't listened to him in a year. When I saw that one, I was like, all right, cool. I applaud you. You found it harmful and you moved the fuck on. I can't knock that. I can't criticize her for that one. I can't criticize her for that one at all. Daincy in the building says, BR, did Jaxn at least get high view from this? No, he got like 11,000 views. It's at like 11,000. He don't get views on YouTube, man. He do not get views. I mean, I'll take his views, my smaller channel, but for the amount of subs he got, no, he do not get views on YouTube. His channel is an extremely underperforming channel. Just on YouTube. I think he's still killing it on Facebook. He says, what does it say about community that revered George Floyd but wants to twerk on Kevin Samuels' grave? Yeah. Jason Whitlock actually spoke on that. Shout out to Jason Whitlock. He did a whole show on, I think he's doing 2 shows on Kevin Samuels. Like, he's like, Jason Whitlock is with it. He really is. I ain't reading that shit again. Thank you for the super chat, though. But shout out to Dane C. Appreciate the super chat. But freaking Jason Whitlock, Jason Whitlock definitely paying respect to Kevin Samuels all day.
Just on that end of things. For me personally, how I feel about Kevin Samuels passing, and for those who don't know, the history is there, for years before he really blew up, he was saying my name and he just didn't agree with my content, and some people don't, which is cool. And then I also voiced that I didn't agree with.
Oh, y'all remember when I referenced that he know about Kevin Samuels, know what Kevin Samuels was about. One of the arguments that he made about what do you say, women over 35. Kevin Samuels' initial video on Derrick Jaxn before he blew up, it was actually one of the ones that gave him like a little early spark, not a full-blown takeoff. He didn't go to the moon off of it, but it gave him a little early spark. Is a video he did on Derrick Jaxn that went, semi-viral for the time. I mean, it turned into Kevin Samuels. It turned into like just a bad day for Kevin Samuels, but at the time it was kind of viral. But yeah. So it's like he strawmanned one of Kevin Samuels' arguments, but now he's representing. I mean, now he's showing that he knows and understands exactly what it is that Kevin Samuels was saying in that argument, because he's referencing the exact video. So that's just more nonsense and manipulation.
With we didn't know each other personally. We were supposed to have some type of debate / discourse at one point. It just fell through. But whenever I got wind of him passing away, I was deeply saddened. Really, genuinely, deeply saddened. He ain't never said anything enough about me to be happy that he's gone or anything like that. But I was saddened because, first off,
all right, now here go the real fake part, okay? And shout out to Obsidian. I don't know. I see Obsidian down there. I don't know if you saw this video. I don't even know if you're up to even give some thoughts or commentary on this. I don't know. I don't know where you're at with this. I don't know if you planned on, taking some time before you speak again or talk. I mean, but I don't know. I'll send you the link. I understand if you ain't even trying to mess with this. I get it. I get it. But yeah.
I was deeply saddened. Really, genuinely.
Yeah, like I was saying, this was a fake part. This is a fake part. Now he's saying he was deeply saddened, and Kevin Samuels never did nothing or said nothing to him to make him want to celebrate or be happy. Well, let me just make sure I get him exactly right.
Passing away, we didn't know each other personally. We were supposed to have some type of debate / discourse at one point.
Oh shit!
Personally, content, and some people don't, which is cool. And then I also voiced that I didn't agree with his. We didn't know each other personally. We were supposed to have some type of debate / discourse at one point. It just fell through. But whenever I got wind of him passing away,
Obsidian, do you know about that? I want to ask you directly about that part right there. I do want to know about that. That link is for Obsidian. Don't a bunch of people take it. That link is for Obsidian. I don't want to see a bunch of people taking that. He just said that excuse me. He just said that, let me do this like that. No, like that'll do. Obsidian, welcome to the show. Welcome.
Good morning, Bernard. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. It's still a sad time, but I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
We can grieve. We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I'll talk to you. But all right, let me get into the reason why, because I don't even want to. I ain't even trying to go down. There's so many rabbit holes to go down. Let me ask you this direct question about something that he said here. He said that him and Kevin Samuels was supposed to be setting up some, meeting. They were supposed to talk or do something. I don't know if it was supposed to be like a debate or just a discussion. Who knows? Did you know anything about that?
As you know, I was privy to many privileged, confidential communications between Kevin and I.
Mm-hmm.
People who know me well know that I'm not the type to kiss and tell, or in this instance, divulge confidences. That being said, however,
Derrick Jaxn kind of just spilled it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And since it's now out there and you're asking me a direct question, I was aware of Kevin getting together with the roommates and Mr. Stefan Labossiere. At the time, they were still closely associated with Derrick Jaxn. They have since distanced themselves. Kevin had communications with Mr. Labossiere. Kevin had communications with the roommates, and through them, there was supposed to be not just a sit down, but between Mr. Jaxn and Kevin, but kind of like a round table panel discussion. Never happened. Don't know why, but I am aware of that. This was before the events of last year. This time, well, it was March of last year with regard to Mr. Jaxn. So this would have taken place in the year 2020.
Oh, okay. So this was when Kevin Samuels was more or less not necessarily, probably not at the early stages of blowing up, but
this would have happened after he, before the average at best thing went down. That would have been in the fall of 2020. But after he blew up in the spring of 2020. So you're looking at somewhere around, summer, maybe early fall. It was somewhere in there in that period. It was in the summer fall period of 2020. Early fall. When I say early fall, I'm talking like, Labor Day. Somewhere, summertime. It was somewhere between, like July and September of 2020. I was privy to those early talks. And because you're asking me directly, because Mr. Jaxn has, made this statement, I just wanted to say that, yes, I was aware of early talks between Kevin and the roommates and Stefan Labassiere, there were talks of all of them getting together to have a kind of sit down. Never happened. I did not inquire as to why. Kevin did not speak further of it, so I don't know exactly what happened. But the idea of a sit down mano mano with Jaxn, as Jaxn that is, you're giving the impression that he's saying that they were supposed to sit down and have a mano mano discussion. I was not aware of that. I was aware of something happening, and as a matter of fact, when we talked at the time about it, Kevin and I, what we both noted, what was interesting was that Jaxn was not part of those talks. The roommates were. Stefan Labassiere was. I can't say whether Ace Metaphor was. As far as I know, his name was never mentioned. I'll put it this way. His name was never mentioned. But I know Ace personally. We've gotten a chance to become somewhat friendly in the time since. Mm-hmm. And he never expressed any type of knowledge or anything like that of this. So I'm under the impression that he wasn't in the loop. But what was interesting was that that Jaxn himself was not part of those talks. So
he very well could just be, as they say, capping right there. With everything that he's saying, he's basically making it seem like he had something that was set up that didn't fall through.
That was the kind of irony at the time when Kevin and I were speaking about this. The fact that, you know, the roommates and Stefan were interested, but Jaxn, for whatever reason, was not part of those talks. So
yeah, no, that's interesting that he would put that out there, and I'm sure, like, you and Kevin, y'all talked enough to where if he had a potential sit down with Derrick Jaxn, and Derrick Jaxn has been somewhat of a punching bag of yours for a long time. I tend to believe Kevin Samuels would have definitely mentioned that to you. So yeah, I'm going with the theory that he just pulled that out his ass.
I'm going to refrain from any type of speculation. I was asked a direct question by a friend and consider you a friend and colleague, Bernard, about another friend of mine to speak to the matters in question by Mr. Jaxn, which he has made public. I don't like discussing things that were shared in confidence, but in light of the gravity of the events, I'll do so. And I'm not going to speculate about motivations or, you know, that's not my job. I'm just telling you what was shared with me nearly 2 years ago, and it's up to people to decide for themselves with the left and the right of things after that.
All right, Captain Cisco in the building. He says, "Oh man, and Bernard, can we agree there is 100% chance Derrick Jaxn cut huge fart in that car as soon as he cut the camera off?" Thank you for the super chat. No. All right, moving on. Orange Pale North in the building says, "Did y'all hear about this saint and sinner guy calling himself the new Godfather?" No, I didn't, but I'm not surprised. It sounds like something that he might say. All right, so let's back up, because you've heard the whole video. Going forward, because let's see what I'm at the 4-minute timestamp mark. There's a lot of parts where he say I'm at the part of the video where he started making normal human adult male conversations. I mean adult male points that you would expect somebody to say about somebody who died. And so it's like he did the double talk thing that he does, where he justified the nonsense. And then, okay, let me set that aside after now that I've justified it. And now he's going to start saying that, hey, this was a person, even if you didn't like him. There was he was somebody's baby, he was somebody's child, somebody's brother, somebody's, somebody loved him, and blah 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 blah. So he's going to go into that whole little spiel, even though he justified the people who are trying to metaphorically dance on a grave, so to speak. So you saw the video, you saw this video, or you saw at least up to where I'm at right now. So
I viewed the whole thing in its entirety. I made sure to view the
Yeah.
whole thing in its entirety. To be fair,
Yeah.
In an observation, rather rare for Mr. Jaxn to release a video that long. Usually his videos released to YouTube at least tend to be a lot shorter, less than 5 minutes on average. This one was upwards of 11 minutes, and I watched the whole thing before I came here to make sure that I understood clearly what he said and to be able to intelligently and thoughtfully respond.
All right. So what do you got, and what's your takeaway?
Excuse me, I was taking a sip of water. Please drink a lot of water, gentlemen.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I am. I think this is interesting. This is interesting because Mr. Jackson's earnest thoughts with regard to the passing of our good friend and brother is something that I will take on their face. I think that there's something that's known as a kind of a honor among warriors, and I'll give him a pass on that. Fair enough.
What are you giving him a pass on?
On his heartfelt condolences. I think that's fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not going to question his sincerity on that.
Yeah, okay. I get that, not questioning the sincerity, because it's like, okay, we can look at that part as he was being a real person and responding how a real person would respond. But the first part of the video,
yes, I was about to, I'm glad you said that.
Okay, yeah,
that's the yeah.
Because real quick before you get into it, I just want to say, because the audience haven't seen the second half of the video, it's like 2 videos in one. Okay, the first part of the video he was pandering for like the first 4 minutes. Then the next 4 minutes he talked like a normal person should.
Right.
And
it was like 2 different people. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It's like he just morphed into a whole nother person and then just start talking like an adult. You know, in fact, I'm gonna play that part just so the audience can see it, because I know some of them probably haven't seen it. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that part so they'll know what we're talking about. The first 4 minutes of the video was pandering, and then it's like he snapped out of it and then talked regular, and then so yeah, I'll play that just so the audience can have the full clip of what he said, and then because like after he talks normal for a while, then he's gonna go back to a little pandering, but we'll see.
I was deeply saddened. Really, genuinely, deeply saddened. He ain't never said anything enough about me to be happy that he's gone or anything like that. But I was saddened because, first off, it's a reminder it could be any of us. It could be any of us. So you ain't got to like Kevin Samuels or whatever, but death don't discriminate. And with the young, old, good, bad, don't matter. Okay, so it was a reminder that, you know, at any point in time, this life that we have can be taken from us. And then secondly, because before he was a content creator or a YouTuber, he was somebody's baby, and his mother lost her baby a few days before Mother's Day, you know, and that's sad in itself. Not only that, you know, he was a successful person, and everybody's family has that one person that can change the whole trajectory of their family. You know, I'm that for my family. I know others that are that for their family. I feel like he was that for his family, and that just got cut off. So there was a lot of people just likely impacted by him being gone in multiple ways, beyond just his mom, but his family, his friends, and so on and so forth. But thirdly, and I want to say this, as a content creator, I think a lot of people don't understand that we can get a lot of likes, a lot of views, and all of that stuff, but we have to really grow into the impact that we have. We don't quite get it. Even though Kevin Samuels was a little bit older, he was still very young in his content creation. I think 1.5, 2 years or something like that. And even though what he was putting out, I don't agree with. I'm gonna be straight up with you. A lot of it anyway. Some of the stuff I do, but a lot of his approach, I don't agree with. But I looked at it like, man, he wasn't done. And his microphone got cut off before I feel like he really got to what maybe he was trying to do, just based on more recent interviews of what he said that he was hoping to do for the Black community and for relationships in general, and, you know, having people be more self-aware. I feel like, you know, what he had put out, one, didn't effectively do that as much as maybe he wanted, but he wasn't done. And even if you look at somebody like Jay-Z, so for those who don't know, Jay-Z is a famous rapper or whatever. Jay-Z said he regrets making his song Big Pimpin' that he made early on in his career, one of his biggest hits. Google it. He said he regretted making Big Pimpin'. And if you look at his content now, his rapping now, he's talking about art. He's talking about his wife and his children. He's talking about generational wealth. Like, he grew into his voice, his content creation, his impact. Again, even me, I've been doing this now about 8 years as far as the video content goes. And I'll have some people, you know, I see them say, oh, I don't like how you did this. I don't like how you said that. And sometimes I'll be like, I don't like it. Because I said it at a time where I was still growing into my voice. And I still am, even 8 years in. And in Kevin Samuels, I look at like, man, as a content creator, no, I don't agree with his approach. And I don't agree
just
with...
very briefly, because I do want people to just hear the full thing in context. I just want to make sure I say this so I don't forget. I don't like how he's trying to make it seem like the Jay-Z comparison is not quite right. You know, Jay-Z wrote Big Pimpin' when he was in his mid-20s, okay? and now Jay-Z at 50, being a married family man, yeah, he's rapping about different things, okay? Kevin Samuels started this thing approaching 50, and he's in his 50s now. Like, so I mean, he's in his 50s when he passed. So I don't like that comparison. He's like, he again, even in him trying to say something right, I think it's a subtle jab of, oh, he was a kid, he was going to grow up. That's sort of what he was saying. That's how I interpret that. I could be going negative, but that's how I interpret that. I saw the subtle jab in that, even though he's trying to, you know, make a real point, but it still was a jab in there, in my opinion. But I want people to hear the full clip. I don't know if you don't got nothing to say. You want me to roll it out?
Yeah. Go ahead and let it out.
All right.
Some of the things that he did for what I felt like anyway was clicks and views, but that's besides the point. I feel like he still wasn't there in terms of having the intended impact that he wanted. And he was still trying to grow into that. That's just me now. I'm projecting, in a sense, a benefit of the doubt, being somebody that, and sometimes I look at some of my old content and I don't even agree with it. I don't even stand by some of the ways that I've approached the content, even though I was telling my truth. And I feel like on some level, he was still getting to the point where he could have that intended impact. So overall, deeply saddened. It's unfortunate. I'm not happy. I'm not nowhere close to happy or anything like that. But let me not let that translate into some type of attack or, you know, or judgment on those who are relieved that a person who represented what he represented to you guys is gone. I do, however, encourage you to self-examine why that is and why you were so hurt. I want to give you that. Why? Not because I'm policing you or trying to do it in some kind of soft, sweet way, but because I believe that's going to be the key to your own healing, to your own closure, and to your own freedom. Why? Because it gets a lot worse than Kevin Samuels. For those who do not like or did not like Kevin Samuels, you don't like his content, you hate it, you were hurt by it, you were traumatized by it. Y'all, I've been in these streets long enough to know it gets a lot worse. It was worse before him. And now that he's established a market for that type of message, there's going to be somebody who takes his space. There's going to be somebody who takes up that mantle. His supporters now feel emboldened in what they believe, and they're looking for another person to replace him. And it could be worse. And the point that I'm getting at here is, if you were deeply hurt by what Kevin Samuels was putting out, I want you to take back the keys. I want you to take back the power of why that was so hurtful. Was his message reiterating something that you personalized about your worth and your value? Was it? Because I notice even whenever I put out messages that I think are uplifting and encouraging and they speak life, there's a group of people who can't receive it. Because why? They just don't believe it. There's a different story that's in the way that they have not addressed. So at the end of the day, no external communicator is the problem or the solution to what you're feeling if his death brought you satisfaction. He's not the problem. I'm not the solution. Nobody is the problem or the solution. There may be something deeper that you can address that can give you the healing, that can give you the relief that you really want, that's going to be constant no matter who's up there speaking on a YouTube video, telling you this, that, and the other about yourself and about your desirability. And with that being said, my love, my heart goes out to those who have been negatively impacted by his messages over the last couple of years and will continue to possibly be impacted by others' messages, but also his family and his friends, his loved ones, those who actually knew him, Kevin Samuels, the human being, beyond just the content creation. My heart goes out to you guys. My condolences to you all. And yeah, that's it.
All right. All right. His heart goes out to those who are negatively impacted. Oh yeah, and the family, and anyway. All right. Go ahead. Okay, I'm not. You got it, Obsidian. What's your what you got on this? Well, for those who came in late, just really quick. The first part of the video, the first 4 minutes was a complete pander fest where he was justifying those who are celebrating. The second half of the video, he tried to make some reasonable points, some good points with more subtle shots. The last 5 minutes of the video, 6 minutes of the video, that should have been the whole video, and then I wouldn't even respond to it. Right. But anyway, go ahead, Obsidian. What do you got? What's your takeaway?
Yeah. My apologies for hijacking your show.
No, you good.
The other day I heard you have a conversation with the gentleman, Mr. Hoodservative, and the question on the floor that you and he and others were, thrashing out was Kevin Samuels's death meant also the death of Black love. And during that discussion, you made the point, and I paraphrase, that with the passing of Kevin now, the other side, the loyal opposition in the Black love machine, as I call it, will now see that the coast is clear and attempt to reassert themselves. And you specifically mentioned Mr. Jaxn by name. Yes, I do agree with your assessment. And it could be taken to mean that this is an early shot across the bow, that what we have just seen here.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, we now turn to the first half of Mr. Jaxn's video. And it's interesting because he so often does, shout out to Abba and Preach. Mr. Jaxn is so adept at contradicting himself in his own, in the very same video that he makes. He has a very interesting habit and penchant for contradicting himself within the space of mere minutes. He starts off the video being sympathetic to those ladies who are dancing on Kevin Samuels's yet to be dug grave. But by the end of the video, he then gently asks them, or no, he does ask them to reconsider, but he makes a point in a very kid glovey sort of way. And what he's saying is this: ladies, if you're that upset about what Kevin has said, it must be a good reason for it. Maybe it's because it's true. And maybe you need to unpack that, like in therapy. The kind of therapy that Kevin's been talking about for the past 2 years, yeah, that. See, if we examine all the ladies who have the most to say, they fall under one of several categories. Either they're older, and we're going to deal with that in a minute. Either they're heavier, either they're baby mamas, or they're very disagreeable. That pretty much sums it up. Now, he makes the point, he being Mr. Jaxn, he makes a point about the leftover women. Let's get something straight here. My friend Kevin Samuels did not make up or coin the phrase leftover women. It is a Chinese phrase, Shennu, if my Chinese is correct. I actually have a good friend from China who speaks both Cantonese and Mandarin fluently. I personally witnessed him speaking Cantonese when he visited me in Philadelphia and we went to a Chinese takeout. So maybe my Chinese is off, but the actual term is shennu. And it means women who, for whatever reason, are unable to find husbands by a certain age. Kevin merely took that idea and concept and applied it within a 21st century Black American context. So that's number one. Number two, Mr. Jaxn asks, can a woman be held accountable for her age? No, she cannot. What she can be held accountable for is what she does with her years. You see, if you get, 35, 40, 45, 50, and you have no man to speak of, because life is about relationships, and it's a documented fact that those that have them fare better than life than those who do not, then yeah, there's something wrong with you. It is. Now, Jaxn won't say that to the lovely ladies, and we all know why. Kevin did. So that's number one. Yeah, if you're 35 and above and you have no man to speak of in your life, there's something wrong with you. It's true. My buddy from China, I'm not going to say his name. My buddy from China, this is years before all this came down the pike. He said, it's interesting about American society, and he grew up in Oakland. So that tells you everything right there, right? And he said, it's interesting how we do things here. He said, let me tell you something. Over in Asia, Japan, China, Korea, which he traveled through extensively as part of his work job description, he would spend lots of time over there. He said, listen, if they think people like Kevin is bad,
yeah,
they have seen over there in Asia. They flat out tell women now. They flat out mothers tell their daughters, you can't get a man like that. You're not good looking enough. They just flat out tell them that. Mothers tell their daughters, you can't get a man like that. You don't look good enough. Flat out. You're too fat. Or your face is too ugly. I mean, it just flat out tell you. Yeah. Straight up. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Your face too ugly.
Yeah. They just straight out tell you that, man. Flat out. Man. Yeah. This is mothers now. Mothers telling their daughters. Now I'm going to switch it to the matchmaking services. I have a very good friend right now, Black American, went to Columbia, now lives in Tokyo, Japan. And he is there working with a major startup to do dating and mating matchmaking services. So they're working with that. He's like a STEM guy, and he's working with that. Mm-hmm. And again, in Japan, the phrase isn't shennu, leftover women. The phrase over there, and I don't know the Japanese term, but the English translation is Christmas cake. That's for women over a certain age that are unmarried. And the reason why they call it Christmas cake, because nobody wants to eat Christmas cake after Christmas Day. It's kind of like, it's like their version of the fruit cake over here. Who wants to eat fruitcake? The only time you eat fruitcake is during holiday season, and you do that only because somebody, a family member or a friend or whatever brings you that, and you're polite. Japanese society tends to be a lot more polite, so you just out of politeness, you kind of take a slice and you eat a slice of it. But nobody really wants to eat fruitcake. Same thing over there with Christmas cake. Who wants to eat Christmas cake? Valentine's Day. Nobody wants to do that. So they call it Christmas cake. Women like that are Christmas cake, which kind of reminds me of something, because plenty of the lovely ladies over here, they like eating cake, so then maybe they can do that. How about that? How about instead of leftover women, ladies, how about Christmas cake? How about that? Would that be better? Would that feel better? Christmas cake. This is how they do over it. Did you know that Korea, when I say Korea, obviously I'm talking about South Korea. Did you know that South Korea is one of, if not the world's biggest cosmetic surgery locations on planet Earth?
No, South Korea.
South Korea.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to take a guess here. Okay, well, what are they getting surgery on? Because I do know, and I don't even know if it's Koreans that do this, but I do know Asians of some variety. I don't even know which ones. They do something to their eyes. Is that what they're
That's
getting
true.
surgery?
That is true. They do. But that's not the only thing. They getting, I mean, long before, Dr. Miami became a thing here in Black America, the South Koreans was getting it in with the nip tucks. Oh, and to be fair, Korean men do it too, to be fair.
What are
But
they
it's
nipping? What are they nipping and tucking? Because
because
I
over
don't.
in Korean society, in Japanese society, in to a large extent, but not as much Chinese society, definitely in Korean and Japan, looks matter.
Mm-hmm.
It matters so much that you will not be high. In those countries, see over here, because of the whole discrimination thing and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. They've even done studies on this. When they've done studies about job resumes. So they'll put a black sounding name on the same resume. So they'll have a white sounding name on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then they take it off, put a black sounding name on it. And they have found that the black sounding name resumes get fewer callbacks than the
Mm-hmm.
white sounding ones. The studies have been done on this. Okay. But in societies like Korea, in Japan, you have to include your picture with your CV, as they like to call it over there.
That's
Your
a
picture
resume.
has to go
That's a
with it.
resume for those that don't know.
Yes.
They call it a CV over there for some reason.
Yes. Curricula vitae. They call it CV. You have to include your picture. See, those companies, the company man, the salary man, as they're known in Japan, there's a certain look that goes along with that too. They even have workouts and stuff. When you're working at the plants and stuff like that, before you get started, everybody's out in the courtyard working out before they get started.
You want to know my theory on why they can do that? Well, my theory on that is because they're more homogeneous, meaning that at least, I mean, everything is changing nowadays. But historically, everybody there has been from there, the same race, the same culture, the same background, the same everything. So they don't have all they don't got to be touchy about racism and this particular group and that particular group. So it's they just go full gangster with it.
That's right.
Because they don't have to walk on eggshells to not offend anyone. So
nor are there any, like you said, nor are there any discrimination lawsuits or Title IX and that sort of thing. My buddy from China, he told me, he said, yeah, you gotta submit, when you submit your resume, you also have to submit a picture, because that's part of the resume.
That's wild.
And if you look kind of off, guess what's going to happen? You can't be too fat. This is true definitely for women, but it's also, to be fair, men too. The in Asian society, I'm talking about young people now. There's what's known as boy bands and stuff are really big over in that area of the world. In Korea, they call it K-pop. Korean pop music and so on and so forth. And they really, that's a really big thing over there. Japan, so it doesn't look like we're whipping up on the women or whatever. In Japan, there's an outfit here in the United States called Rent-a-gent, right? I talked about this in my book. Actually, both my books, the Book of Obsidian, the black book and the red book. That's what I call them. I talk about them in both books. Rent-a-gent. They got the idea from Japan. See, in Japan, for these Christmas cake women, there is a kind of consolation prize for the right price. They can rent a boyfriend. And they've been doing it for many years. There are outfits in Japan whereby if you are a Christmas cake woman, okay, for the right price, you can hire a good-looking man who knows poetry and will listen to. He's an attentive listener, and he makes a very good impression on your family members and your friend, your girlfriends and your colleagues, and he dresses well, and all of that. And the standards are pretty strict. They sent a white guy over there to see what that's all about, and the Japanese guy I got to work with this guy, I got to clean him up or whatever. Yeah, they have that.
Wait, before we get too far upfield, I don't think we fully landed the plane on the Korean women in the surgeries. when you said that surgery is really high over there, are they getting like BBLs? Like, what's
Well, I mean, it would have to fit in with their culture, so BBL is not likely. But I mean,
exactly?
they would have things like things done to their face. You talked about the eyelid thing, things done to their face. You know, nose jobs and so on and so forth,
Okay.
dental work and all kind of stuff like that. And of course, you know, because the Asian silhouette for ladies is very you know, thin, so that there's that.
Yeah, that's why I was confused about it, because the Asian women, I mean, listen, they the men and women that are they're a petite people, you know, so you don't see them with all the curves and the thickness and all of that. So I'm like, what are they getting surgery on in their body? You don't even see them with big boobs. So I mean, it's not like breast implants are big there. Not like
the facial and the weight thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's shocking. That says a lot. That says how much beauty is promoted and preferred in their country, because I mean they're not a bad crop of women facially. I mean, I don't know how to say that in the right way, but I mean, you would think that, I guess the competition is stiff. That, you know, you're born looking in the face. I mean, no, they present as, you know, soft, dainty, delicate, feminine women. Like, shout out to Game Changer. They can flip and float and all of that. But but yeah, that's shocking. That's shocking to me that they're going through all of that, you know, getting surgeries on their face. Like, I know those women from other cultures, like I forgot which women got those gonzo noses that they get surgery on to fix their nose. And I remember you ran that by black women, because they were saying that it was some study that showed that, you know, it was asking why men find black women attractive, and some of them said they said it was the skin color, the skin tone, which I thought that was nonsense. But the nose thing, I was like, okay, there might be a there with the nose, because yeah, for whatever reason, whether it's a big gonzo nose or a wide nose, a bigger nose tends to not look good on a woman's face. And you suggested for them to get surgery, and they blew a gasket on you. This was back in the Google Hangout days. I remember that. I was just, you know, just somebody in the chat room, just in the clouds watching. I remember that they blew a gasket on you when you suggested them, hey, maybe you should consider surgery on your nose. But lo and behold, other cultures are women, they getting all kind of stuff done on their face, but it just, you know, floats under the radar. I mean, you could look it up, but it's like you said, if it's a big thing in South Korea and other parts of Asia, and like I talked about the women with the gonzo noses, that they get those taken care of. So it's a thing that yeah, that it's out there, but we're frowned, we frown upon it. Like, you want me to cut away my blackness, my African roots. That's what one of them said to you, that you want. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, look, I mean, and you know, I guess the reason why, you know, it's funny. There's a white feminist known as I can't remember her first name, but her name has been put to this. It's called the Bechtel test, right? So the Bechtel test is any film or TV show that supposedly centers women. Women are supposed to be like the big stars of the TV show or what have you. But if at any point in the show or series or film there is a man involved, usually romantically, then it fails the Bechtel test. The Bechtel test is supposed to be about, you're supposed to be able to see movies and films and shows about women, and men don't have nothing to do with it. Okay. I say that because I've noticed something with Kevin over the past few years. The women that have the most to say about him, it's a kind of test. You can apply this test. So the women that have the most to say about them, try and find pictures of them and see if you can find, you know, articles or tweets or social media posts, preferably of them actually speaking and interacting with people or not. And the reason why I say that is because they almost always, you know, fail the test. Fit, friendly, you know, feminine, cooperative, you know, childless, submissive. They almost always fail it, invariably. So all the women that are out there, like, you know, going berserk, just look at them. And that tells you everything you need to know. There was one notable exception to that rule in Kevin's lifetime. In terms of appearance, she passed, but her disagreeableness was off the chain. There was an incident that happened on Clubhouse. and this would have been in 2020 if I recall. And Kevin was kind of experimenting with the platform. And Hafez of the roommates was there. There was a lady, I don't want to say her name now. Attractive looking. As a matter of fact, she's kind of like the standard bearer for the Eternal Seven, as Kevin put it. And she's giving Kevin all the big workout. You know what I mean? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? This, that. And Kevin, at one point, Kevin just dumped her off because you could drop somebody off the thing there on Clubhouse. At one point, he just dumped her. And I knew the reason why. Matter of fact, she even reached out to me, talking about she going to do this and she going to do that. You know what I did? Dumped her. I simply blocked her on my IG. I didn't even go back and forth with her. The longer I'm living now, the less I am inclined to want to go back and forth with people. I'm kind of like Kevin really has rubbed off on me. I don't beef. I just hit the block button. Or matter of fact, on my show, everybody knows I'm a big fan of Star Trek. By the way, I saw Strange New Worlds, loved it. Looking forward to the new adventures of Captain Christopher Pike. And when people get out of pocket with me over at my place, I just take them down to the transporter room and say, Mr. Scott wanted to beam up. And that's it.
You're missing the funniest part of that story you just told. It wasn't just that he dropped her down. She tried to do the classic tactic of, well, you know what? I'm just gonna say this one last thing and then I'm gone. And and as soon as she said that, like she was about to get her last word in, she was going like you gonna try to slap somebody and then run about the room. That's what she's about to try to do.
Oh yeah, right? You're right.
Right?
You're right. Yeah.
Right when she said that, well, I'm just about to say this and then I'm leaving. As soon as she said that, Kevin Samuels was like, click, and just instantly got rid of her.
Oh yeah.
And that's a tactic that I think I've used that once, but because that's only one time since then somebody has said it to me. But I always said whenever somebody try to announce that they're about to get their last word in, and I know it's going to be some nonsense, I'm just dropping them right then and there. You're not getting a hit and run on your way out the door.
Exactly.
But all right, let me get to these super
point,
chats.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just want to quickly. The point there was she failed the test. F it. We just call it the Kevin Samuels test. She failed. How did she fail? Because she's highly disagreeable.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that she disagreed with Kevin. That's not the issue. The issue was that she was disagreeable with Kevin. That's the issue. And men in general, that is to say, no respecter of status or station in life, men in general don't want to put up with that. But men who are somebody, they absolutely not going to put up with it. And the way that they deal with it is the way that Kevin just did. They just dump you.
Yeah. But get into the super chats. Shout out to everybody who's supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. He says, we got Plan to Be 501 says KS is the fruit everyone is eating off, and he would have wanted it this way for the black men who rocked with him and his detractors as a YouTube pro. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. My man, brother Xavier from the Prophet of Thought series in the building. He says, I'm sorry, Mr. Jaxn, you're not for I didn't get that at first, but now I get it. You're not for real. All right, I get it. He says, Brother Samuels made you cry. Your subscribers. That's funny. I ain't gonna sing it, but I got it. He says, too cool for school says, I need GC on this stream. Shout out to GC. I think I saw a game changer in the chat. Black Wolf Inc. in the building. He says, oh man, with the zinger, Shazam, bitches, Shazam. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, leftover cake. That's funny. That's too funny. Thomas Walker in the building. He says, disappointed in Tom Linkus. I think what he said about KS. I did not hear that. Don't know nothing about that. Do you happen to know anything about that, Obsidian?
I do. And what do I think about it? I don't.
Okay. I don't know if you can send it to me, Obsidian, but somebody send it to me. I mean, I can't respond to it, and I probably won't respond to it on the air. But I am curious. So if somebody could send that to me, I'd appreciate it. Or yeah. But anyway, Where we at? Where we at? Black Wolf Black Wolf Inc. in the building says, "Oh man, make sure after you beam them up, make sure you say thank you, and then maybe in Allah Akbar. You got to save the Allah Akbars, but no, but
yeah. I even brought back, because a lot of people was asking me what happened to the thank you songs. I brought that back. I got it in my little sound effects thingy. So yeah, I have that too. So
all right, but shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate everybody supporting the stream. And like I said, that whatever. I am curious. I'm curious. Somebody can send me whatever time link is said. I'm just curious. Won't do anything with it, but I am very curious. But all right. So where we at? We was talking about
Mr. Jackson's first half of his video.
Let's get into that.
And he says, yeah, you can't blame a woman for her age. She can't be held accountable for that. I agree. But we can hold her accountable with what she did with her time. We can hold her accountable for that.
Yeah.
And if you are over the age of 35 and you have no man, you've never been married, you've never been you never had a significant public non-sexual relationship. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry on this. He's 100% correct. You have not had a publicly acknowledged non-sexual relationship. Everybody knows y'all together, where significant investment has been made into you by that man in terms of his time and resources. Yes, something's wrong with you. Your leftover, your Chinese cake, your a Christmas cake rather. Your Christmas cake, your leftover women, your fruit cake. I guess over here in fruit cake. Yeah, Aunt Bernice and that was a very popular name for black women back in the day. So everybody had an Aunt Bernice. Aunt Bernice would bring over a fruit cake. Yeah, you're the fruit cake. You are. That's what you are. And you kind of shove it back in the refrigerator back there, until it starts to, the stench of it just gets overwhelming. You got to throw it out. Yeah. Because you don't want to, get rid of it in front of her. So you kind of, oh, that's very nice. Thank you. And you take it and put it in the refrigerator. And it stays there for the next 6 months. Yeah. That's what you are.
Right.
So, we could start with that. How about the weight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so whose fault is it that you're big as a house? Whose fault is that? You weren't born like that. Whose fault is it that you big as a house? Yes, men will have sex with you on the quiet while nobody's looking. Yes. But do anybody want to take you out on their arm looking like that? Come on. Whose fault is that? Who made you consume all of that? Somebody force-fed that you? Come on. Seriously. Who made you do that? Who made you and it is going to change. Roe v. Wade is going to change. Got that. But for the better part of a half a century, where you have 100% control over your body, who goes in it and what comes out of it, how is it possible that you have whole human beings passing through your body? You're not married. You're not widowed. You're not divorced. Whose fault is that? Derrick Jaxn says that the women are held accountable even though the men leave. Yes. Why? Because for over 50 years, madam, you have 100% control over who gets to enter your body, who gets to make a bank deposit in your body, and then the choice of what comes out of your body. You get to choose that. No man can choose that. If a man decides to enter your body without your consent, there's a word for that we shall not say on the air, but it rhymes with grape. If you don't want a man to leave a bank deposit in you, there are, last time I checked, some 33 different methods to prevent that from happening. And madam, if you didn't want another human being passing through your body, and all 33 of those previous contraceptive methods did not work, you had a guaranteed law of the land measure to prevent that happening. So in the year 2022, if you have born children without benefit of marriage, whose fault is that? Who? Exactly. And why is it wrong for a man who has made something of himself, a black man who has made something of himself, why is he wrong for not preferring that? Why? Whose fault is it that you got with a man that ain't worth a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of to make whole human beings that pass through your body? Whose fault is that? No, it is not the job of good black men who made something of themselves to try and clean up the black men who ain't sugar honey iced tea that you chose, madam, to lay down with, to procreate with, and then try to make a life where hit your wagon to, and you don't act right, and now you want us to do something about it. No. That's your fault. In the 21st century, more than a half a century of Roe v. Wade, 33 different types of birth control, laws on the books that will punish harshly a man that attempts to grape a woman. It's your fault. Period. And as for the being disagreeable, well, no wonder no man of any consequence don't want to mess around with you being disagreeable like that. Who wants to come home every day and listen to a black woman like that black woman did to our good friend and brother St. Kevin on Clubhouse? Who wants to live with that every day? You'll die a whole lot sooner than Kevin did dealing with that. So no, it's your fault. And if you want to be a disagreeable so-and-so, do that on your own. Be that.
Yeah. So that's the part where I think we're all eye to eye on that one. Okay, we're all generally eye to eye on that one, give or take maybe some details, But for the most part, we're all eye to eye on that. But the elephant in the room, is all of those things that the women are, that they have done, that Kevin Samuels talked about, that Kevin Samuels more or less built his channel highlighting a lot of those things. More nuance to his channel than that, but that's just one summary. Though those things were highlighted. Derrick Jaxn is arguing that those women are justified in celebrating. That's the elephant in the room that I said when it comes to pandering. I thought it was a glass ceiling, but he proved there's no glass ceiling on the pandering, and like that's the part that's the part that I gotta get your thoughts on. I understand that we can argue all day that Derrick Jaxn's talking point versus Kevin Samuels talking points, or the talking points that Kevin Samuels popularized. We can argue all day and win that argument. And Kevin Samuels is in the right, but Derrick Jaxn literally said in the video the absence of Kevin Samuels being able to do that is justifiable for women rejoicing and celebrating.
Yes, that's yet again another example of the way in which the mind of Mr. Jaxn works. Because like I said, he contradicts himself in his own video. He starts out saying that, and then at the end he says, well, what Kevin says bothers you so bad, maybe you need to go and unpack that. See, the argument here is that you can't blame people for blame women. Let's just get right to this. You can't blame black women for how they feel, and I agree. But I can blame black women for how they act. See, it's one thing to feel, yeah, I'm ding dong, the witch is dead. Okay. It's something else for you to publicly express that. That is bad form. That is bad manners. That is uncouth. That is unladylike. And no wonder no man wants you longer than it takes for him to splooge. No wonder.
Splooge?
Yes.
That's a new one on me.
Well, put another way. I mean, I don't not to get too graphic, but yeah.
No.
I mean, because at the end of the day, what else is there? You're not ladylike. A lady wouldn't act like that. A lady would not act like that. So what else is there? Seriously.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not the only one. Splooge must be before some of our time.
Yeah, I'm trying not to trip the hit the tripwire here. I'm not trying to do that. We all know what we're talking about.
Yeah, no,
so, yeah. I mean, beyond bedroom activity, what else is there? Seriously. If you are over 35 and the best you can do in terms of emotional management is to go on Twitter and act a fool, then yeah, maybe the problem is you. And maybe that explains why you can't get a man that's worth a damn. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe the only types of men that you can get are the worst types of men who all they want to do is bend you over on the quiet and act like nothing never happened after that from dusk till dawn. Maybe that's the reason why. Ladies don't conduct themselves in the way that I've seen so many black women conduct themselves over the past few days here. And this is not the first time, I might add. We all will kindly recall the passing of the late, great Mr. Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
The smoke still smoldering from the helicopter crash site. And black women, doing the boogaloo and the bump in the street. And lest anybody here think that this is a gender thing, the ladies in Decency knows no bounds. They did the same thing to Miss Monique, who had the nerve to actually slim down. She looks fantastic. She's living proof that you could be an older, mature woman and still look great. She's living proof. What did the ladies do to her? Tore her apart. Ask the ladies, listen, maybe you want to give a thought about how to present yourself out in the world here. With the sandling it up. Shout out to Oshay Duke Jaxn. Sandling it up. Bonnets and all the rest of it. Oh my goodness, they tore her apart. So we've seen this before. We've seen it before. It's nothing new. And maybe that might have something to do with why you can't get a high value man. Maybe that might have something to do with it. What man of any consequence wants to hitch his wagon to that? Seriously. So I don't begrudge the ladies feeling how they feel. That's fair. But everything don't need to be expressed. Sometimes silence is golden. Man, that's a lesson that a lot of black women can learn. Sometimes silence is golden.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was a wild one. Yeah, so many places to go, but I'm. Would you say that you're, I guess on a scale, how shocked are you that he went that route with it of justifying their celebration? How shocked are you about that?
None at all.
Wow.
None. There's something to be said for There's something to be said for consistency. There's something to be said for that. And Mr. Jaxn has proven himself, devastatingly consistent. I mean, he has to pretty much, justify and legitimate and rationalize the nonsense that so many black women do. He has to.
Yeah.
I mean, he pretty much has to do it. And see, here's the other thing about Jaxn that he told on himself with this video. Here's another thing about him. He knows exactly what he's doing. Because if he didn't, he would not have done 2 videos in one. He would not have done the first part of the video and then the second part of the video, which completely contradicts each other. He knows exactly what he's doing. But see, as so often is the case, and I'm going to do a live about this, as is so often the case, far too many black women confuse attractiveness with competence. The two can overlap. I'm not saying there's no such thing as a good-looking brother that's also competent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they are distinct. You can be an attractive brother and be on some BS. You can be a brother that, he may not necessarily turn your crank, but he's excellent at what he does. There is a difference. And many black women often take what Derrick says as being competent because he looked good to them. And he just proved yet again that's not true.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Shout out to everybody in the building. I have no idea where we at on the likes. I'm just assuming that the likes do need to get up. I just actually saw Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. I just saw what was referenced about Tom Lakis, and that is bad. That is bad. I've been hearing things about other men actually being black men um being quite I don't see, I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence. I just been hearing it. On somewhere they've been somewhere on the spectrum of joining in with the parade, so to speak, you know. And listen, even though I don't like it, I understand, you know, let's just say everybody's alive and well. I understand that it's competition with this thing. We can try to say, okay, we all brothers, you know, but there is competition with this thing. Understand if everybody's alive and well, that you know, sully the name, smear the name, throw a little dirt on, or irrational critique on the name of or against the words or talking points of another individual. Like I understand that. I don't like it. That ain't my route. People who I generally agree with on everything, I'm not going to try to kick dirt on their name to try to take their audience. That's not how I roll. Okay? If I generally agree with you, then I look at us to some degree, you know, on the same team, soldiers in the same army. Even if we agree on 75%, I'm not gonna fight you. So, but I understand that if everybody's alive and well, and there's a lot of people who did that. You know, with Kevin Samuels, they wanted to present themselves as the alternative, the anti, the he's getting it wrong. This is how I'm getting it right. I get all of that, but if in death, in death, some people to not know and or even just have that instinct of, okay, I used to say all this about him. It's time to chill. It's over. It's over. Like, what do you think is going on with some men? We could talk about the women all day with this, and I don't even know to what degree you've seen men be on that spectrum. But what did you think is going on in the mind of the men who are still launching and lobbying their criticism or hate towards the man, even after he's now gone? It's so hard saying that, but even after he's gone, what do you think about them? I mean,
Well, it's just like I was talking about the Bechtel test and how there's this Kevin Samuels test, if you will. So we talk about the ladies, but there's the flip side to that. There's with the guys too. And I've noticed a certain profile with the guys who are really florid with their critique, quote unquote, of Kevin. And I found that they fall into either one of several categories. One, they're too broke. Two, they're too uncouth. Three, they're too unmotivated. Or four, they're just too jealous.
Okay, that fourth one was the one to draw. I was going to give you some pushback, but that fourth one is what made it would put the nail in the coffin, the jealous part, because a lot of the things that you said, like somebody like I hate to be dropping names, but somebody like Jason Black wouldn't really fall into the first three that you said. At least I don't think. I mean, no, definitely not about, you know, the broke or whatever you said. He wouldn't fall in that category, but the jealous part, I think it's a lot of people that fall in that. But why? What is going on in the mind of a man who just doesn't have the wherewithal to cease fire after the untimely death of somebody who you criticize for market share? I'm not knocking the business strategy. It's not my business strategy, but or at least not. I mean, one could argue that that's why I criticize Derrick Jaxn. But if somebody is for everything that I'm against and against everything that I'm for, I think then it's in bounds to speak against that person. But when I look at somebody like Jason Black and Kevin Samuels, those are two people that I say this all the time. If they sat down and took a 100 question questionnaire about women, men, the relationship dynamics between men and women, money, business. If they just had to sit down and took a questionnaire, 100 questions on it, I guarantee they'll probably answer every question about, you know, dating, mating, relationships, pretty much 90 to 95% the same. Okay.
Yeah,
so why all the? I mean, but again, it's hate. but it seems like it should be a ceasefire. It should be a ceasefire after somebody's dead. I can't make that make sense.
Yeah, I would just simply say to everybody.
And I'm going to take your answer off the air. I gotta step away for 1 minute, but I'll take it. I'll have your answer.
Yeah, I would just say to everybody looking on here, just to take a look at the people. Talking about men now. Take a look at the people, the men who are so florid in their critique, quote unquote, of Kevin, especially now in his death. Look at them. As far as I'm concerned, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know. Do dignified gentlemen act like that? Even if you disagree. You know, the interesting thing, and we're talking about Mr. Jaxn here. Mr. Jaxn actually acted with a degree of decorum more so than many of these other gentlemen who are having a go at Kevin in death. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. If you take Jackson's second half of that video that we're talking about today, the second half, and you consider that against what others have been saying about Kevin in his death, he actually comes across having more sense than they do. And I ask everybody listening, is what these other men done, is that befitting a gentleman? Even if you disagree, I'm not saying you have the right to, you have to agree with the man. I'm not saying that. Everybody can disagree. Good people can disagree. And so is it any wonder why the black community is so highly dysfunctional when you have black women who are anything but ladies and black men who are anything but gentlemen acting in this way for all the world to see? Really? Any wonder? Seriously? No wonder our community is a basket case with this sort of thing going on. And no wonder the reason why we can't get anything together here. Because we have way too many black people who just don't know how to act. And we're talking about, nobody's young here. We're talking about people over, black men now. We're talking about people over 35. People who are contemporaries of Kevin in age. And they don't know how to act. Okay? They just don't know how to act. It's one thing to have disagreement. It's one thing not to, not to particularly care about somebody or whatever. If you cannot deal with their arguments. See, and I know what a lot of people are going to say right there. Well, what about you and Derrick Jaxn? I always dealt with Derrick Jaxn's arguments. I always addressed his argument. Okay? And as a matter of fact, now that we're on that point, I had the opportunity to take a seriously low blow at Derrick with regard to his wife back when they got married. I could have done it, but I refused. And not only did I refuse, I let it be known on my channel that if anybody else wanted to take a shot at him, they would find themselves on the outside looking in. I dealt with the argument. And what's fascinating to me about all of these people, and I'm broadening it back out to black men and black women alike, all of these people who got so much smoke for Kevin now that he's gone, but they didn't have smoke when he actually had smoke shows. Why didn't they call in when he actually had smoke shows? Where are all these, since you asked me specifically about black men, then I'll take it back to black women, Bernard. Where are all these brothers that have so much to say about Kevin behind his back when he's in the ground? Where were all of them? Why come they couldn't have a sit down with him and hash it out in real time like men are supposed to do? Where are they? Where are all the black women They chide us black men for, you know, not being able to handle a strong, educated black woman. Well, where are all the strong, educated, professional black women? They make a lifetime. They make a living out of how much professional and educated they are. Where were they with the smoke? You know, you got Nicki Minaj, you got Brittany Renner, you got Tommy Lee. They more women than men like Derrick Jaxn. They're more men than the men that's coming after Kevin now, because they were woman enough to actually sit down with the man. And they definitely more women than all these other sisters. And I'm looking at certain ones who actually are card-carrying black feminists. They got a theory for this and a theory for that. But they can't stand up. They can't come up and step up front. Maybe that's the reason why you can't get a man, because you're a coward. Maybe that's the reason why no woman don't want to submit to you, because you're a coward. And the Lord hates a coward.
All right. This is a question I want to ask you, and this may be better served as an off the air question. It may be better served as an off the air question, but you sometimes talk about these type of things on the air. Because this came up on my previous show, and I forgot exactly how the question was framed, but they were talking about, you know, what's next, you know, in terms of,
hang on a second, brother. If I may, I apologize for interrupting. There's a brother. Go ahead. There's a brother in the chat room named Social Media says sounds like shaming language to me. Yeah, it is. Let me double down on that for you. It is. You need to be ashamed of yourself if you are acting and conducting yourself in this manner during a time of a mother's bereavement. You need to be ashamed of yourself for conducting yourself in a way at a time of a daughter's bereavement. You need to be ashamed of yourself. You do. Yeah, let me double down on that. When Bell Hooks left this world, I didn't say a mumbling word, not one. And there were many black men who wanted me to lay into her. Not one word. Not one. I said nothing. Silence is golden sometimes. I said nothing. And I could have.
We got Plan to be 501 in the building again. He says, I like Jason Black, but he's got to let go of the notion that he owns a concept. He was simply just jealous of KS's reach. Yeah, I listened to a portion of him. It started off good, but it ended up turning into some indirect and some direct jabs, and I wasn't feeling it. I mean, I get it. Like I said, I understood the branding and marketing strategy. Present yourself as the person who's getting it right, the other person who's bigger than you, but sort of in the same arena. Present them as a person that's getting it wrong. You know, I marketing, branding. I'm not even going to. I don't like it, but I'm not going to fight him on that one. I just said whatever. I just don't. I think he does excellent work, excellent content. I just don't like his marketing strategy. That's it. That was the worst thing you ever get me to say about Jason Black. But I was under the impression that he would, you know, be somebody who would, you know, understand that it's time for a full ceasefire after a man is deceased. But no, thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Obsidian, another thing that I asked you while I got you here, and well, this is what I was.
I'm glad, if I may. I'm glad.
Go ahead. Yeah. No. Feel free. I know you got a lot to get off. So go ahead. Go ahead.
About Jason Black, when Gabby Sidibe, the actress, Precious, when she got into a relationship, she found a guy for her, happens to be a white man. Jason Black had a famous, or some would say infamous, exchange with Miss Crystalline Carrison.
Don't forget hilarious. That was
it was
funny.
it was a heck of a conversation.
Yeah.
But my position on the matter was, I will not go in on this woman. Why? Because this woman ain't never done nothing to me, and she ain't never done nothing to black men.
Right.
So I will not go in on her. In fact, I wish her nothing but clear blue skies and much love with the man that she's with.
Mm-hmm.
That was my position then, and that's my position now. I'm not going to do that. Omar said it best. A man got to have a code.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you, and like I said before we segued into something else, this is probably a good off the air, better served question off the air, but you talk about these type of things on the air all the time. I've told you probably shouldn't, but you normally do it. So I'm asking you to do it this time if you want to. But it came up on my show where the question was framed in almost like in a, going forward in terms of content creators, in terms of the space, and and you came up and I said that, yeah, I know this is probably hard for Obsidian. So after the grieving and everything, a plan, a business, a business plan, a campaign strategy, something that's going to come forward out of this. So I guess what I'm asking is, like, what's your plan going forward, seeing as undoubtedly things are changed forever going forward. It's no major way around that. Things are changed going forward. Have you given thought to just what is your plan, what is your vision going forward with this, going forward in light of the tragedy, in terms of your channel and just everything that's out there? I mean, we talked about Derrick Jaxn trying to slip in and take market share and all of that. So I mean, it's unfortunate. I think content creators do have to look at it in terms of that. I think they do. It's unfortunate. It's sad, but I do think that you do got to look at it in terms of there's literally millions of people out there who are going to be missing something. A void is going to have to be filled. People were throwing out names of who's going to fill that void, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, and we can get far upfield with that. But
Yeah.
I do think a YouTuber, a business-minded YouTuber, a seismic shift like this, you do have to have some type of plan or some type of strategy. And what's yours on that, if you care to even just subtly talk about it?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because there was something that you said in your conversation with the Hood Conservative, and it gives me a chance to revisit it. You had suggested that I was saying, why don't more black men just be like Kevin? Let me clarify, because I could have not have been as clear as I could have been. So let me clarify. What I meant by that is, Kevin has given us all now a blueprint, a winning blueprint. The big problem for our opposition is that the landscape has completely changed. I know the sentiment of many brothers to focus on those ladies who are not cooperative. I understand. I would caution them, however, not to lose sight of the many sisters who do. No, they are not as vociferous. They're not going to be the raised nails. By their very nature, they're not. By their very nature, the raised nails are going to be the women who are the least agreeable. And we have to ask a real question here, talking about plans moving forward. What would Kevin do? we have to ask ourselves, talking to the brothers now, we have to ask ourselves a real question here. What kind of community do we want to have? What kind of people do we want to be? We are what we focus most of our time on. If we focus most of our time on people who are flat out disagreeable, what does that ultimately say about ourselves? We have to focus on the people who do want a community. There are black women who do want it. No, they are not going to be the flashiest. No, they're not going to be the loudest. No, they're not going to be the ones making a fool out of themselves. No, they're not going to be the ones that's all over social media like that. They don't get down. That's not their MO. And if we want to see more of them, then we have to create a space for them to be. So that's an important question here. Kevin was about conversations, not shouting matches, not hollering back and forth, not cussing each other out, not roasting, toasting, capping. Conversations. Kevin believed in conversations. So we have to focus on having more conversations. That does not mean that we have to always agree. It does mean that we talk to each other. It does mean that we have some degree of civility with each other. So that way we can address the stuff of life. That's what it means. I talked about this. I did a podcast with Miss Brown Sugar on Thursday. And it would be the day that announced to us at the time, Kevin was already gone that day. The podcast was about him. It has yet to be released. It will be released on Monday, tomorrow. And it really was surreal, proof listening to it. I got it back from my production guy, and he did something really nice with it. I made the point in that video, and I'm speaking personally now. Kevin never styled me. There are men in this space, I will not mention any names, who have been personally styled by Kevin. I'm not gonna mention any names. He never did that for me. I never asked him to. He never did. He never offered it. I just looked at his example and said, okay, how can I take that and make it my own? Not how can I be just like Kevin? I said, no, how can I take it and make it my own? Okay. And what I did was, Google is your friend. And I spent a lot of time kind of becoming something of a sartorialist, just studying a lot. I'm really good at studying. So that's what I did. Studied a lot. And learned a lot about suiting. Learned a lot about style and fashion. Learned a lot about the various trends down through the years. I studied it historically. And came up with my own style. Which is what you see on the screen right now in that little avatar pic. You've been in my presence, so you know this. I walk with the aid of a cane. It doesn't sound as bad as it's not as bad as it sounds. Bernard can attest to that. My canes are a fashion statement. Kevin himself told me he wished he could use a cane. He's too tall for it. He said, you're a short guy. It's perfect. Because you don't look all gangly and, and kind of look like a giraffe or something. But if you're a short guy, it's fantastic. As it turned out, W.E.B. Du Bois was very much a fashionable man. And he also walked with a walking stick. And he was my height, 5'7". He was very much known as a dapper individual, very much so. And Kevin was, he told me, he said, I'm kind of mad at you for that, man, because, you know, you kind of took that Kane thing and really made it your own. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I meant by that, when I made that statement that you spoke about in your conversation with Hood Conservative, was how can we take what Kevin has now left us and make it our own? And that's what I did. I just took a style and made it my own. I think that we all, in our own way, you have, Bernard, you kind of taken, whether deliberately or otherwise, I don't know. I'm just looking at the result. You kind of, you know, made a bit of Kevin your own, which I think works fantastic for you, by the way. I'm looking at some of the sports jackets you wear. So, man, I really like that. Yeah. I really like it.
I mean, okay. I mean,
I
don't know what to what degree I would. I mean, listen, I'm not going to go through my archives to find it, but before Kevin blew up, I was already saying, when I was talking about camming up, I was saying I was going to, you know, cam up in a professional setup. I did say that Donovan Sharp, Angry Man, and Kevin Samuels were the three people that I looked at their studio setup and everything, and it was like, I want to, you know, try to hit somewhere in the realm of what they're doing. And I said that, yeah, I was going to do it. I was going to dress nice, you know, bare minimum a blazer, and you know, and interview people, because I ran my show kind of like how Oshay ran his show. I bring somebody in, do an interview, and then open up the panel for, you know, debating back and forth. I said I wanted to do that the way Oshay did it, but with a better crisp camera and dress nice and make it look professional, a little on-screen graphics. I was talking about that back when I was just on a laptop and a Yeti mic. I was already explaining. I was saying that was my vision of the channel.
Right.
And so I've sort of pulled it off a little bit, but
I think you've done very well. As a matter of fact,
yeah.
As a matter of fact, I take and borrow. You know, there's a lot of talk about, you know, stealing this, stealing that. I've taken, you've shown me a few things. I don't consider myself a finished product. Far from it. I'm very much in the state of you know, work under construction, and I always consider myself being able to learn from everybody. By the way, one of my big teachers is Mr. Jaxn himself. Ironically enough, I think he truly missed his calling. He's really good at social media, and so I've been studying him for quite some time. In that regard. You know, when you know your enemy, you know yourself. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Yeah, so yeah, I think that
but real quick, when the thing about studying somebody, and both Kevin Samuels and Derrick Jaxn sort of falls in this category. Both of them learned social media. Both of them learned how to really market and work that social media game and having a strategy out of this world. But the product that they were selling was essentially their self, you know. So, and that's always the hardest part when somebody is, because I heard a lot of people talking about it, who's going to, you know, capture that Kevin Samuels spark or whatever. And there's a unique, when somebody blows up that big, it's such a uniqueness to what they do, that when the product that they're selling is essentially who they are, it's a very hard thing for somebody else to follow that strategy. I mean, you can, but it's a tricky, delicate balance. So I mean, and you sort of hit on it. I think you hit on the same things that I hit on. Small aspects of it you can certainly take. Small aspects of it you can certainly take, but it's a difficult thing. It is a difficult thing. I'm going to be putting some thought into, you know, everything I need to do, you know, going forward with my channel and my strategy and everything. I do got to put a lot of thought. I mean, I've put a lot of thought into it, but whenever you put a lot of thought into it and then you start doing stuff, you gotta sit down. You gotta sit down again and have another meeting, so to speak, and you know, make sure, you know, see where you're at, see where you're going, and the whole works. But it is a complex thing, and you know, I was recently talking to somebody about this YouTube Game of Thrones that's going on, and it's like it is a legitimate question, you know, what's going to happen, what's going to happen next in the next month, in the next couple months, the next 3 months. If you're making predictions, it's almost like you got to think that somebody is going to take off.
Well, here's the thing. If I can respond to that,
yeah,
because you're not the only person who's saying that. The idea is who's going to, and even Derrick himself, Mr. Jaxn himself, alluded to this in his video in the second half.
yeah.
I have a completely different view of it.
Go ahead.
And that my view is, I come from the world of mechanization and industrialization. I was a skilled tradesman for 22 years. So I understand the processes of scale.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next step here is scale. I don't think we need to have the next Kevin Samuels. I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. I think what has to happen next is, and I like the way one brother put it on my Facebook after I wrote a tribute to Kevin, and he simply responded by saying, we are all Kevin Samuels now. I think it needs to scale. And it doesn't have to be, we don't have to have super large channels. As a matter of fact, I choose a nanobot strategy. We need a whole bunch of little Kevin Samuels that all together add up to something big. I don't think we need, one big, I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. I think we need a nanobot strategy, and we need a whole bunch of little Kevin Samuels in their own way. Again, not doing what he did. I'm a big fan, and Kevin agreed with me about this. He never like spoke about it formally, but we had a lot of conversations behind the scenes. He agrees with this. I'm a big fan of personalization. I got that idea from Mystery, the famous pickup artist. I'm a big fan of personalization, taking something and making it your own, the essence of it, but making it your own, which then becomes unique because it's you. So yeah, I think that we take these ideas and make them our own in our own ways. And we don't need another Kevin Samuels. We need a whole bunch of them. And you get a whole bunch of them, guys that, 20,000 subs here, 50,000 subs there, 10,000 subs here, 3,000 subs there. If you add them all up, it becomes something. And here's the effectiveness of that strategy. Interestingly enough, we're talking about him right now. Back in the fall of 2020, early 2021. So we're looking somewhere between November and say maybe January. November 2020, January 2021. You've said this before. You and I were putting out response videos to Derrick Jaxn that were rivaling or eclipsing what he was putting out himself, even though he had a much bigger social media presence than both of us did. That's an example of what I mean. You don't have to be the biggest guy to make a significant impact. In fact, history tells us there's often a whole bunch of little guys that made a big impact. They just all worked in concert with each other. And you're right. Somebody in the chat room rightly points this out. Nanobots are really good at replicating themselves. We need scale. That's what I mean. Replication. We need scale, which is something else that Kevin talked about in his life, that black men need to focus on scale. We need to start building up vertical instead of always having horizontal structures. We need to start building vertically. And in order to do that, you need a whole bunch of guys doing a little bit instead of one or two the guys doing a lot. So it's kind of like working against the Pareto principle, where 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. We need to kind of reverse that. And I think that we're in an excellent position to do that now. I think we're in an excellent position. I think that studies and everything have shown that, to me, I think one of the things that we black men have to do is we have to get out of our own way when it comes to the tools of 21st century living. And one of the tools of 21st century living is information. and we have to use it to our advantage instead of always fighting against it. To keep going round and round in circles on points that have been conclusively proven and settled. We want to keep going round and round and round because it's an ego thing. Kevin himself said that it's not about being right. It's about being effective. Part of being a man is being effective. Competence is about being effective. If what you do or what you stand for or what and so on and so forth, if it's not effective, then it really is a waste of time. And I think Kevin showed us all that time is very precious. You got to focus on being effective. I like being effective. So I'm not going to, argue up and down about whether I like it or not. There's a lot of things. So that everybody is clear about this, because there does seem to be a bit of a, and I take responsibility for it, a bit of a misunderstanding with regard to me and my positions on things. So let me just say this. There are a lot of things I don't particularly like. I don't like that black men don't read. I don't like that. I don't like that black men in particular prefer to watch videos than to actually crack open a book. I really don't like that. It chaps my hide. As a matter of fact, now that I'm on the point, that was one of the last things me and Kevin talked about in this world. I had a conversation with him on Easter Sunday, and we actually talked about this. And he said, I respect that you've written books, man, but the simple truth of the matter is that ain't where the action is. The action is on YouTube. I didn't like it. I don't. But he's right, because the numbers bear it out. Black men don't read, but they do watch YouTube videos. I don't like that, but it's the truth. And so an intelligent man, when he looks at the evidence and it runs counter to what he previously believed, he switches up to be more in line with the new information and take in new information. That's what intelligent people do. I consider myself a very intelligent man, and so this is the reason why people say, well, when is Obsidian going to cam up? I've been doing a lot of research behind the scenes about how I'm going to do things. And now, because of this situation, how can I take the best of what Kevin did and kind of kick it up a notch? So a lot of thought has to go into that, because black people like watching TV. That's just the plain truth. Black women read books. Black men don't. They just don't. When I say black men don't read books, I don't want to offend anybody out there who says, well, I read. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about scalable on a scale of millions. On a scale that major book publishers would know and respect.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. And I know a lot of brothers will say, well, audiobooks. No, the numbers don't bear it out. They just don't. Black men watch videos. That's just the plain truth. Personally, I don't like that. I don't. But you have to adapt with the situation on the ground and move accordingly. So now what I've been thinking about doing is, how can I adapt what I've written into video form? So that's one of the little pet projects I've been working on.
Well, I think, listen, and I know you sound like you're torn or maybe divided on that, or maybe you changed your mind. I do know at one point, game changer. I do know at one point, you had said you didn't want to do audiobooks. Part of it, I guess, you wanted to embolden black men to read. I actually kind of thought that was a bad idea. I thought that those who want to read will buy the book and read it. Those who want to do audiobooks will do the audiobooks. I was saying to myself, you shouldn't leave that money on the table. You should definitely produce audiobooks. I think, I don't know for sure, and I hate to misquote ARC, but I think his audiobooks sell more than than the the actual hard physical copies of the books or the ebooks. Does audiobooks sell more than the ebooks? So
Yeah,
there's that.
there's a real big problem with that. Yeah, and I'm aware of Mr. Curry's sentiments on this, and quite a few people have contacted me about what you just said. Here's the problem: Black boys have a real literacy problem, a real one. In every major Black American city, you're hard pressed to find Black boys reading at or above grade level. The average reading level in the United States is 8th grade. I write somewhere between a 12th grade and collegiate level. I'm somewhere between 12th grade and academic level, my writing. So I'm at bare minimum, I'm 4 grades above the national average. That's the overall. But when you go to Black men, in particular Black boys who will grow up to be Black men, you're looking at somewhere below 8th grade level. So yes, audiobooks, videos definitely are where Black men are, but it's a double-edged sword for me, because I am I helping the discourse, or I'm contributing to more problems in this regard with a real problem, which is literacy. If Black men cannot read at or above grade level, how effective are they going to be in a 21st century world?
Jonas, oh man, I can't even see that. 1 second. Jonas Guisao, Gusao. I don't know. I don't know what that says. Forgive me for botching your name, but I do appreciate the super chat. And shout out to Game Changer on the discussion of reading. He says, read this super chat. I have read it, and thank you, Game Changer. Do appreciate it. Yeah. And as Jackie is saying right there, get the likes up, people, get the likes up. Yeah, you know, I look at it like this. Yes, the problem with boys reading better, that's obviously a problem that needs to get helped at the ground level. Black men who were once boys, who for whatever reason, either how they were raised, blame the public school system or whatever, they grow up and they're not reading at grade level. I don't want to say it is what it is for those men, but the fight is a long-term delayed gratification fight, and getting boys at an early age and then doing it for the next generation. But to some degree, I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late to get in the game. Put it like that. It's never too late to get in the game. But no, I honestly, I would, if I was you, I would look at it in terms of right now, things are what they are, and I would produce them damn audiobooks. That's honestly what I would do. And then some for the long term, you know, figure out some way to prove that. Like BGS always talks about, and Dr. T.S. Johnson talks about, you know, how there needs to be, you know, programs for boys. Yeah, they've talked about a lot of times when sometimes when it's just about to get off the ground, it ends up getting shut down. It's all kind of, you know, red tape and, you know, problems with it. Whatever those problems are, whoever's getting in the way of it, I mean, your resolve to get it done should outweigh, you know, whoever is standing in the way. But that's how I feel about that. But there is something long term needs to be done for Black boys. When I did research on that, and I know you've talked a lot about how I think 10% of I don't know if Black boys or Black men or whatever read at read at level. I won't say shocked, because I mean, I don't want to do this because it's going to seem petty. I did do some research and I found out with Black women it's not that much different. They're like 18% or something like that. So it's like there's something with there's something with us as a people, and you know how we raise our children. I remember we talked about this before, and I said I had to take some accountability too with that one, because you know my kids, yeah, they finished their homework, got your homework done, they knocked it out in 30 minutes, we're done. Okay, the average Black household, I think the average Black kid does on average, I think 30 minutes of homework. I think with white people on average, it's like an hour and a half. With white kids, it's like an hour and a half. With Asian, it's like 2 hours. Hispanic Latino is like 45 minutes or something like that. It's
Well,
like,
in other words, every race, every major, and we didn't even include Jewish folks, and we know that they're very well read. So, in other words, every major racial and ethnic group in the United States spends more time reading and doing homework than Black people.
exactly.
And that has absolutely no connection to outcomes.
Obviously, it has a great connection to it, but that goes to my point, is that you have to look at this from a perspective of delayed gratification and getting the problem, solving the problem at the root. And it takes some organizing to do that. It takes quite a bit of organizing and foresight to get that done. And yeah, nobody. They're put it like this. There are people who are in position to lead the charge on that. I hate the simple fact that the people who got the most to say about it are the people who, that doesn't mean that they're just poor and doing bad, but they may not be in position to affect major change on it. They could probably affect some small change on it, but the people who are truly in position to make some big change on it, then it's like those ones are doing nothing. I see that all the time in the Black community. The people who aren't in position got a lot to say about it. The people who are in position, they busy doing them. It's like, yeah.
It's interesting. Roland Fryer, who is a protege of Professor Glenn Loury, Professor Roland Fryer, economics at Harvard University. He's found himself in a bit of controversy. You can look it up. Roland Fryer reported in his findings, to go to your point about the time spent reading and doing homework. Mm-hmm. He found that the average Black home had just under 35 books for Black kids, reading books, whereas the average white home had almost 3 times as many. So my point is this, and you're right about the people out there who are in a position, both as officials and as social media people, and, celebrities and so forth, that are in the position to really move the needle on all this. You mentioned Professor T.S. Johnson and the efforts that Black male educators and the like have made. There's also the debacle with regard to Dr. Umar Johnson, and the real problem with that, the latter, isn't so much that he faltered, but that no Black man of any consequence stepped in to save the project of educating Black boys.
Wow. You know what? I never even thought about that. Clearly, he was fumbling on getting it done. But out of all the billionaire Black men, millionaire, but is like, if you take how many Black men are worth worth over $100 million, like it does add up to a lot of them, Like, you're telling me there wasn't a. I hesitate to say this because I don't want to just say somebody should have just handed the man $3 million. I mean, that is their money to do what they want to do with it. But damn. It seemed like out of all the rich Black people out there, somebody would have believed in the project. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I'm not saying that they had. I'm not saying that they had to take Dr. Umar's project themselves. I'm just simply saying the idea of educating Black boys. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to take his particular project. I'm saying, okay, that didn't work out. Somebody step in. Okay, this is what I got for educating Black boys. So I'm saying all that to say this. Look. This is where I'm at with it. I consider myself a gentleman scholar. That's a phrase from a different period in both British and American life. The Victorian era started in Great Britain, but if you go back and research the latter 19th century and into the early 21st century, into the early 20th century rather, Victorian life was very much part of American culture at that time. And there's a phrase at that time that was was the gentleman scholar. That was someone who may or may not be well formally educated. But in any event, they have the leisure time. These are not people who, have to, punch a clock every day. And I know about that life very well. These are people that have the leisure time to engage in scholarly pursuits on their own. They were kind of known as gentlemen scholars. The fictional Sherlock Holmes would fall under that category of a gentleman scholar. I consider myself such. And what I'm going to do in my own little way is to see what I can do with this black male literacy thing.
Yeah.
In my own little way. And it kind of be a nod and a wink to Kevin to try to move the needle. Self-improvement goes for the above the shoulders too, fellas. I mean, self-improvement just don't stop at the gym.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. Agreed. Shout out to Christian Hutcherson in the building. Said many people have their own kids. Sacrifice your own kids for some else and deal with the fallout. Lots of risk, but we got to start taking them. Thank you. Appreciate the comment. Yeah, we down we down in the home stretch. We know it definitely ended up talking about a lot of good things here. Shout out to people. There's people super chatted and I missed it, so I'm going to get to those. Victor Carter in the building. He says coding enforces literacy, spoken as a software engineer. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. I think there were a few more. I think the same gentleman back again. Shout out to Victor Carter. He says, what about making infographics and pictures and audio content and book clubs? Encourage learning from all perspectives. Yeah.
Let me just say this because so that everybody's I am seriously reconsidering my stance regarding audiobooks to be continued. And interestingly enough, speaking of infographics, I was thinking about that. I don't want to go into the weeds because that's not the appropriate time to do that. But yes, I'm thinking about all of that. Audiobooks and infographics. How do black men thrive in a new century where it's not those who are the strongest, but those who are the smartest that win? That is the question for me. And how do we retool black men to thrive in a 21st century world? That's the driving research question for me. And so the question of where do we go from here? How do we, what are we going to do? One, I think we have to adopt a nanotech approach. The future of the black manosphere, every couple months, there's always, the sky is falling about the black manosphere. I think that
black manosphere has died at least 27 times since I've been observing. So
I think that if we have a conceptual shift in thinking, I think that what we can do is we can adopt a nanobot approach instead of a silver bullet. We don't need that. We need nanobots. We need a lot of nanotech. And we need a whole bunch of Kevin Samuelses. That's number one. Number two, I think that there's a big, thick book of Kevin Samuels that we all can take a page out of. I highly encourage personalization and customization. That you don't have to do it exactly the way he did it. He wouldn't want you to. Take it and make it your own. 3, all of us are angling here on, like you rightly pointed out, Bernard, about and there's a gentleman in the chat room. Gentlemen, you have to start thinking metaphorically and not so literally. When I say nanotech, I mean conceptually. A whole bunch of little Kevin Samuels instead of one big, we need a whole bunch of little ones. That's what I mean. You had asked, you made the point earlier about, where are we going to go with this and stuff like that. I think, and you made the point about the business of social media, and I agree. There is a business aspect here to consider. I guess the even bigger question is this for me. What are you going to do with your platform? What to do what? To what end? Especially in light of what has happened this week, or last week, I should say. Why do you want? Matter of fact, this is wow. Kevin asked me on Easter Sunday, one of the last conversations I would have with him. He's like, Obsidian, why are you doing this? Why do you want what you want? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I couldn't give him a straight answer. I can answer the question now that he's gone, but I couldn't give him a straight answer at the time. I'm doing what I'm doing now to try to move the needle forward in us having more productive conversations. If you're a well-read, well-rounded person, you make for a better conversationalist. You can offer more to somebody you're talking to, and you can receive more from what they're offering you in return.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I can do with my platform is to try to foster more conversations. And there's a gentleman in the chat room right now saying with whom. Well, obviously, conversations aren't one-sided. They are with people who want to have conversations with you. This is something else that I think a lot of black men have to confront. This is something I had to learn myself. I had to accept the fact that there are people who do not want to have a conversation. They do want to be heard. I made the mistake of thinking that because there are people on social media, that they have a platform, that they have a voice, that they want to have a conversation. Many black people don't. Many black people just want to be heard. They don't want to listen. They want to be heard. And angry people are angry because they're not being heard. In their mind, when they're not being heard, that's what makes them angry. There are a lot of black people who just want to be heard, and they have built big platforms, male and female alike, who just want to be heard. I remember listening to an interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson. Everybody knows I hold him in high regard. There's no secret in that. He was asked, I can't remember the interview he did, but he was asked the question, why do you want this platform? What do you think about being famous, and what's one of the great things about it, and why did you do this and all the rest of it? And he said, one of the great things about being famous and, a big internet personality is that I can talk to the people I want to talk to. I can have conversation with people that I would really like to talk to. I have never heard any black person that is a major social media personality say that. We're talking about Derrick Jaxn. When has Derrick Jaxn sat down with anybody and had a conversation with them the way Kevin did with Brittany Renner, the way Kevin did with Tommy Lee, the way Kevin did with Joe Budden, the way Kevin did with DJ Vlad, the way Kevin did with Nicki Minaj? When has he ever done that? He's been doing doing this, according to what he said in that video that we're talking about today. He's been doing this 8 years, and he never took his influence and sat down with somebody and had a conversation. Why? Why is that? Why is it that when Tony Gaskin says that Kevin Samuels, he didn't say the name, but we know who he's talking about. When Kevin Samuels, he shouldn't be talking about relationships because he's never been successful in doing it. Okay, Tony Gaskins, fair enough. So I have a question for you. Why is it that you love your wife so much? Because you praise her so much. You have so much to say about her. We never saw you have one conversation with her. Not one. Why? Why is that? So many black people are fighting for clout. For what? To do what? To what end? Why do I want to be heard? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to have a platform? To have conversations. And I accept that there are many among us who do not wish to have conversations. They only wish to be heard. There's a difference.
All right, and we're going to more or less wrap it up right there. But Uncle Stu in the building, with a $20 super chat. Moderators, make sure you drop his link in the chat room. Shout out to Uncle Stu. He says, I grew up reading as a child, and there were many of my friends who grew up the same way. The issue is books are not written towards non-experiences within the African American community. I can speak on this as an educator. Thank you for the super chat. I do indeed appreciate that. Do appreciate the super chat. Also shout out to there was another one. No Excuse Entertainment says, I agree. I said this on my channel. We need 1,000 Kevin Samuels. Thank you for the super chat and appreciate that. I believe I'm missing one. Car designer Chris in the building says, just got here. So what are going with the fruit cake or Christmas cake? Oh, say, are we? I think it means, okay, are we going with the fruit cake or the Christmas cake?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that idea. The fruit cake. Since leftover women bother so many ladies. Okay, fine. Christmas cake, fruit cake. Pick one.
Right. And also shout out to Sean, Sean Brown. I'm not even messing with that in the middle there, but he says, that's the, I think he means that, is that supposed to say Zyx? Is that how you spell that? I think he's talking about, he might be talking, okay. Institute been up and running for 4 years. I think he's talking about Q Butter School. And some people from the manosphere know about it. No response. Oshay know about it. No response. Oshay has helped. I've actually donated a couple dollars today. I just forgot how to spell it. It was a while ago. But all right. I think that's going to cover it for today. So make sure stay there after we get off the air. Obsidian. I do want to talk to you about something. Yeah. But all right. Yeah, I think that's going to cover it. Thank you for that super chat, Sean Brown. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate you. One thing. Is this actually Q Butter himself, or I can't tell?
Excuse me?
I'm just looking. Okay, never mind. I'm hella confused right now. But they got the name of the school in there. Okay, never mind. But no, shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for that. The big discussion 76 science and technology. He says a STEM guy and writer here. Oh man, come on, y'all be killing me with interested to collabing on the literacy front.
Yes, very much so. This is not a solo team effort. This is very much a Avengers Assemble moment.
Okay. Now he's confirmed that. Yeah. Okay. He works with Q Butter, but okay. Yeah. Cool. No, I always give Q Butter props, even though every time I've ever heard the man speaking on the panel, he normally say a lot of stuff I disagree with. I will do give props to people who get stuff done, and people like him, people like the what's the gentleman's name? is it King Randall? I don't know how I forgot his name. I've done content
Yes,
on him.
King Randall, Mr. Randall
King,
in Atlanta. Yes.
Yes, people like that who roll up their sleeves and get it done. I will always give them props. We'll never have a bad word to say about them. So yeah, shout out to Q Butter, shout out to King Randall for doing what Umar didn't do. So yeah, people like that always always get props and respect from me. But all right, y'all, we about to get up out of here. I'd like to thank everybody who came through, who liked, shared, subscribed, super chatted, cash app, did anything to support the stream in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, and thanks to Obsidian for for coming on up. And with that said, yeah, we are out of here. Peace.